Naruto, the rise of the Uzumaki Clan. Hey! Look who's back for more adventures. We love having you here to continue this story that keeps us all awake. Important note, all of this is pure fiction. So don't try any techniques you hear here in real life, your neighbor might call the cops. This amazing novel and all its rights belong to the original author. We're just the ones giving it voice and drama. Are you enjoying the show? Prove it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving that like that motivates us so much. And if you want VIP access to exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting with things you won't find anywhere else. Chapter 376, A Huge Conspiracy. Late February, year 44 of Konoha. Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi summoned everyone in Konoha to the Hokage building. Everyone, ninja and civilian, was required to attend. Then, that morning, the third Hokage stood on the rooftop of the Hokage building, facing all the villagers, and deeply repented and blamed himself. He believed that it was because he hadn't properly taught Orochimaru and imparted the will of fire to him that a promising young man had gone astray. Therefore, he felt he had failed everyone. To gain their forgiveness, he voluntarily resigned from his position as Hokage immediately. However, since there was no suitable candidate in Konoha at the moment, he would temporarily assume the duties of Hokage until a suitable person appeared and was appointed. He himself would then retire behind the scenes, silently protecting Konoha and dedicating his life to it. Instantly, all the villagers were moved to tears, shouting, "We forgive you. We have forgiven you. Please, Hokage, stop blaming yourselves." However, Hiruzen Sarutobi resolutely shook his head, believing that wrongdoing should be punished, and therefore he would strictly abide by the punishment he had set for himself. He was no longer suitable to be Hokage, but for the sake of Konoha, he could not retire, so he hoped to gain your understanding. As soon as he finished speaking, the audience below erupted in enthusiastic applause and praise, believing that the third Hokage lived up to the name of Kage, a Kage of high moral character. Meanwhile, Danzo, not far away, his expression was as if he had been fed shit. Wasn't there any punishment at all? However, in early March, with a resurgence of merchants, mobile phones, televisions, and various other items from the land of whirlpools appeared throughout the ninja world, injecting a glimmer of vitality into the entire ninja world. Along with these commercial activities, a legend also spread throughout the ninja world, the legend of a Konoha Jonin who almost single-handedly destroyed the land of whirlpools. Anyway, according to some people's inadvertent leaked information, back then, a blonde-haired Konoha ninja single-handedly destroyed the newly made high-powered chakra cannon of the land of whirlpools, gaining an absolute advantage for the Allied forces landing. But, because of a bunch of incompetent teammates, he was defeated and captured. The gist is that if it were just Minato alone, he could have wiped out that small island nation of whirlpools, but because of a bunch of incompetent teammates stirring up trouble, he failed. It's all the fault of those incompetent teammates. Anoki's face turned green upon hearing this. He almost died. He, a powerful Tsuchikage with a bloodline limit, was actually inferior to Konoha Jonin, becoming a liability. But thinking about the current situation of Iwagakure, he couldn't die, he had to live. He immediately ordered a thorough investigation into where the rumors came from, and strictly forbade anyone from spreading them. Of course, these rumors weren't believed by many. After all, who is Namake's Minato? In Konoha, he was just a Jonin with a decent record. Why would they disbelieve that Tsuchikage's official statement and choose to believe a captured Jonin instead? So, slowly, just as the rumors were about to subside, one evening, a wealthy nobleman, out of curiosity, bought a television and, out of curiosity, turned it on. Suddenly, he saw a golden figure flashing in the sea, overcoming countless obstacles, until he reached the shore and destroyed all the chakra cannons of the land of whirlpools. The nobleman was thrilled and shouted "Yellow Flash!" At the same time, this video was said to have been seen by many people that night. Immediately, rumors arose again, especially regarding the third Tsuchikage's official statement. Everyone began to doubt the third Tsuchikage, believing that he was only maliciously belittling him out of jealousy for his good looks and strength. Anyway, the yellow flash began to spread throughout the ninja world. Especially in Konoha, voices calling for Minato Namake's to return as Hokage began to emerge, and the calls grew stronger and stronger. It was said that the Hokage's office had a new batch of teacups that day. Danzo still had a livid face, making the clans in Konoha think that some fool had offended the senior advisor and ruthless ninja again. This was practically tantamount to wiping out the entire clan. So, What do you all think? Hiruzen Sarutobi took a drag of his cigarette, frowning as he looked at his friend sitting across from him, and said, "What do you think about making Minato the Hokage?" "Absolutely not." Danzo stood up, shook his head, and said righteously, "It's obvious someone is pushing Minato to the position. Their intentions are despicable. There's definitely a conspiracy involved. As the dark shinobi who silently protects Konoha, I absolutely will not approve of this. So, what kind of mess is this? Why does something always happen when the Hokage position seems within reach?" "I think so too." Kahoru Utatane nodded earnestly. "We can't let the Hokage position go to someone pushed out by a stranger. That's too dangerous. Who knows what those people are planning? But Minato is Jiraiya's student." Hiruzen Sarutobi frowned, pondered for a moment, and said, "I know this young man. He's a very trustworthy and excellent successor to the Will of Fire. We're all getting old." Hiruzen Sarutobi sighed, stood up again, and gazed wistfully out of the village. "Where leaves dance, fire will never die. The firelight will continue to illuminate the village and allow new leaves to sprout. When else would he show off his will of fire if not now? After all, Hiruzen Sarutobi is a Hokage who loves the outstanding young people of Konoha. So, as long as Minato can shoulder the responsibility, what's wrong with letting him become Hokage?" Hiruzen Sarutobi smiled with satisfaction, his gaze fixed on the Konoha children playing below. But there was something in his heart he didn't know whether to say or not. Just a few days ago, he boasted that he wouldn't become Hokage anymore, that he would step down when a suitable person came along, and yet, only a few days later, this had already happened. Now, most people in Konoha accepted Minato, and if he refused now, it would be a disgrace to his reputation. "But that's too dangerous," Kahoru Utatane said, frowning. "It's not that I don't trust Jiraiya. After all, Jiraiya had already proven his love for Konoha with his actions. But who knew about Minato Namake's? Unless it can be proven that Minato is an excellent successor to the Will of Fire, otherwise, like Danzo, I absolutely will not accept him. Especially the person hiding behind the scenes." The situation was still unclear, and refusal was the best choice. "Since that's the case," Hiruzen Sarutobi sighed, saying, "You're all doing this for the good of Konoha, I." His tone seemed to carry helplessness and inner conflict. "I'll listen to you. Until things are cleared up, I will continue to temporarily assume the position of Hokage and protect Konoha." Although he said this, he was also very wary of those secretly plotting against Konoha. Now, all the evidence points to the land of whirlpools. Especially the third Tsuchikage's speculation that Shin Uchiha is Madara Uchiha, which is very possible. After all, since ancient times, only one Uchiha has awakened the main Gekkai Sharingan. So, no one can say for sure, and Pain has close ties with the land of whirlpools, plus the inferior ninja tools they sold to them during this invasion, and the two people who activated the legendary ninja swords. Hiruzen Sarutobi already felt a huge conspiracy was shrouding the entire ninja world. Chapter 2, The Rest is Missing. Chapter 377 Ordinary Days. In March, the land of whirlpools was shrouded in a light drizzle, and everyone began to shed their winter coats and don spring long sleeves and trousers. Outdoor infrastructure construction had also slowed considerably due to the rainy season. However, these obstacles still couldn't stop the land of whirlpools' progress. March, the academy had been in session for a month. This year, due to the land of whirlpools had gained many new bloodline clans, resulting in numerous new bloodline students at the academy. For example, the Uzumaki Clan, all was rolling their eyes, the Minazuki Clan, whose genders were indistinguishable, and the Tsuchigumo Clan, known as the human nuclear bomb of the ninja world. It could be said that the land of whirlpools was truly growing stronger year by year. Early morning, after seeing the children off to school, Minazuki Taku headed directly to his workplace. None of them were ninjas, or rather, the Mizuki clan who came to the land of whirlpools, apart from a small portion being Jinan, were mostly ordinary people. They had initially thought the Mizuki clan was about to be wiped out. After all, the fourth Mizukage had slaughtered many of them. So, they were filled with fear and dread, believing they were simply being transferred from one hell to another. But they hadn't expected, that wasn't the case. After arriving in the land of whirlpools, they weren't treated harshly. The locals simply sealed their ninja chakra and assigned them lodgings. Families were given a nice small room, while single people got individual rooms, but even these were much better than the living conditions in Kirigakure. After that, Jobs were assigned to each family, and underage children were taken to the academy in the land of whirlpools. Everything was different from what they had imagined. Working here, although they can only receive 3/10 of the salary for the first 3 months due to their status, after 6 months they can receive 5/10, and after a year they receive all of it. After 3 years, they can enjoy the benefits of the land of whirlpools like other citizens. Of course, if you perform well, you can end your punishment early. Many in the clan have ended their punishment early due to good performance and become citizens of the land of whirlpools. It's truly enviable. Minazuki Taku shook his head with a wry smile and muttered, "Looks like I need to work harder too." Although 5/10 of the salary is indeed a bit low, it won't starve them, and the children receive meal subsidies at the academy. Except for holidays when they need to come back for meals, they basically eat at the academy. He also asked the children if they had experienced discrimination or bullying at the academy, and found that these children who had attended academies in the land of whirlpools seemed to be slowly falling in love with the country. The adults, witnessing the scene, remained silent. The clan head's lineage had long since perished, and since arriving in the land of whirlpools, no new clan head had been chosen. Even now, there was still no clan head. They all maintained a collective silence on this matter. They knew how pitiful their lives were in Kirigakure back then, when they couldn't become Jinan due to insufficient talent, or could only become Jinan. Within the clan, they were always inferior to others in the village. Given that, why go back? Now in the land of whirlpools, they were free. They were equal. As long as they worked diligently, they could support themselves, support their families, and even eat meat every day. Their children wouldn't be bullied by the main clan or ninjas. Why go back? Honestly, if they had known the land of whirlpools was so good, they would have come long ago. Their current 30% salary was more than enough to eat and wear, and every week or two, the whole family could even eat out for a nice meal. So, these ordinary people are already very satisfied with their current lives. I haven't finished the big fish my supervisor rewarded me with yesterday because I did well at work, Minazuki Taku murmured, stroking his chin. I'll just buy some vegetables and some pork leg tonight. Looking at the bee honey being sold so enthusiastically not far away. If I were a little richer, I could buy some honey for Haru. A slight smile appeared on Minazuki Taku's lips. He'd heard that this stuff was very good for the body and could improve a ninja's talent. If Haru could awaken her bloodline limit then, that would be great. Having the identity of a ninja to work meant subsidies and various benefits, and of course, he'd heard that graduates from the land of whirlpools, whether ninjas or anything else, had very good working conditions. Then, the older generation would grow old, and the younger generation would definitely gradually integrate into the land of whirlpools and live a happy life. Unlike in Kirigakure, where they were constantly oppressed by their clan and village. Manager Takemura, Minazuki Taku greeted with a smile, looking at the middle-aged man approaching in rubber boots. Good morning. Manager Takemura, it was said, was once a Jonin of Kirigakure, but later defected from the village. Then, the benevolent Prince Jin took his entire family to live in Uzumaki. Now, his family lived very happily in Uzumaki, having already bought a house outright, and was preparing to buy one for his recently graduated child as a wedding home. However, Manager Takemura's child was only 12 years old this year. A fleeting look of envy crossed Minazuki Taku's eyes. At every gathering, Manager Takemura would say that the people he was most grateful to in his life were Captain Sugetsu Ozuki and Captain Biwajizo. It was because of them that they, these rogue ninjas, were able to live such a peaceful and happy life. Although Manager Takemura was no longer a ninja of Kirigakure, or even a ninja anymore, he still took great care of those who came from Kirigakure. Have you had breakfast? Steward Takemura asked with a smile. Today's work is going to be very busy, don't be too tired later. I've already eaten. Minazuki Taku glanced at the dock, thought for a moment, and said, have all the fishermen returned from the sea today? Because of the Minazuki clan's constitution, even without awakening their bloodline limit, their cold resistance is still not as high as that of ordinary people. Therefore, most of them are assigned to work in the dock's ice storage, processing the live fish each day, freezing and packaging the fish caught that day, and then sending them to various sales points. Yes. Steward Takemura nodded with a smile and said, work hard. He patted Minazuki Taku on the shoulder. The higher-ups have issued a few more quotas. I'll report you to them and see if we can get your family's punishment revoked this time. This. Minazuki Taku was stunned when he heard Steward Takemura's words, and said excitedly, "Really? Haha." Steward Takemura laughed loudly. "Why would I lie to you? You'll find out in a few days. Just don't embarrass me." "No way." Minazuki Taku quickly shook his head, saying firmly, "I will definitely work hard." He bowed gratefully to Steward Takemura. "Thank you so much." "It's nothing, we're all from the same hometown." Steward Takemura shook his head, saying with emotion, "Work hard. You'll see in time. The land of whirlpools is truly paradise in the ninja world." A slight smile played on his lips as he looked gently at the citizens of the land of whirlpools coming and going, murmuring, "It's been so long since I've seen Captain Fuguki and Captain Jizo. Perhaps we should find a day to have everyone get together at the captain's grilled fish restaurant. They really owe the captain so much? The kind of debt they can never repay in a lifetime." Chapter 1. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 378 Cultivation. What a happy country. A young man with long black hair, dressed in casual clothes from the land of whirlpools, looked at the commoners passing by and said with a sigh, "If only the land of snow could become like this. Harmony, happiness, prosperity. It's all so enviable." The slightly muscular young man next to him rolled his eyes upon hearing his brother's words and said calmly, "That's impossible." "Why not?" the more composed young man asked with a slight smile. "Why can't the land of snow? You know, back then, the land of whirlpools wasn't as wealthy as the land of snow. Now, who in the ninja world could have imagined that such a weak little island nation could develop into such a powerful place? So, it's definitely possible. The land of snow will definitely become strong." The young man looked at his younger brother beside him. "Raging waves, let's work together, brothers, to make the land of snow as wealthy as the land of whirlpools. It's different." Fuyuki Ryudo shook his head, sighed, and said, "The land of snow is near the polar regions, with snow and ice for most of the year. Agricultural yields are low, and even the people can't feed themselves. How can it become powerful? So, as a daimyo, it's best not to dream." "No, there's hope." Fuyuki Soiki looked at the peaceful land of whirlpools before her and murmured, "This isn't a dream. Leading the country to prosperity, isn't that the duty of a daimyo?" Originally, for the sake of the land of snow's development, they planned to seek an alliance with Konoha, but, recently, Konoha's reputation had indeed suffered, and with several defeats, the village's strength had significantly declined, making it unsuitable for an alliance. But the land of whirlpools, a country that relied solely on one clan and a small island, yet grew into the sixth most powerful nation praised throughout the ninja world, perhaps a good ally. Especially Ridism. He, as a daimyo, had read it, though he didn't understand a large part of it, but, without a doubt, it was a great work. This time, they came to the land of whirlpools partly to see how it was developing, and partly, to visit the daimyo of the land of whirlpools. To inquire about their innermost questions and the development of the land of snow. Especially after witnessing the wealth of the land of whirlpools firsthand, they were even more certain that this visit was worthwhile. Happiness, prosperity, harmony, equality, freedom, and those genuine smiles, all of this could not deceive anyone. They had already spent a week here, and had seen most of the places they could. Now they were extremely eager to meet the daimyo of the land of whirlpools and ask him about the future development path of the land of snow. "Let's go." Kazuyuki Heieyuki looked at Kazuyuki Ango with a slight smile and said, "We should also pay a visit to the daimyo of the land of whirlpools. Shift our focus to talent development." Uzumaki-jun looked at the report in his hand and said, "Although the land of whirlpools now has many more bloodline clans, even more than the 5 great ninja villages, but, in terms of ninja training, we are still weaker than the 5 great ninja villages. This is the land of whirlpools' weakness. Although the major countries haven't prioritized technological research and development, allowing the land of whirlpools to take the lead, in ninja training, the land of whirlpools has lost. You all saw it during this war." Uzumaki-jun sighed and shook his head. "The land of whirlpools' combat capabilities are simply too poor. Some people even fainted when they encountered the enemy. Without a strong national defense and military force, they're ultimately just doing all the work for others. This is indeed the most pressing problem the Land of Whirlpools needs to solve right now. The clan chief nodded in agreement. Other ninja villages send their genin to kill bandits and robbers, to see blood, but the Land of Whirlpools, too peaceful. This is probably because your strength is just too great, soon. The clan chief sighed. Whether it's war or anything else, just by standing here, everyone develops a dependence, an unprecedented dependence. This is both an advantage and a disadvantage. Fortunately, in the last war, you didn't act until the very end, exposing all your weaknesses early on. Otherwise, it would have been troublesome if something really happened. So, what the clan chief means is, Soon frowned, pondered for a moment, and said, to have the graduates kill some bandits? This is a bit difficult. Let alone now, even back in the days of the Whirlpool Kingdom, there were no bandits. After all, it's such a small place. Bandits would starve to death. And going to other countries would be crossing the line. Although he himself wasn't afraid, what if other countries used underhanded tactics? What if the graduates died without knowing why? The clan chief exchanged glances with everyone, sighed, and said, it certainly doesn't fit the current situation of the Land of Whirlpools. How about? Miyajiman thought for a moment and said, let some of the ninjas play the enemy? Military exercises. Uzumaki-jun pondered for a moment, then shook his head, saying, exercises are always different from real combat. But this is something we can record. In peacetime, accumulating war experience is still valuable. Uzumaki-jun rubbed his forehead in exasperation. Anything else? However, everyone exchanged glances. The custom passed down for thousands of years is, after graduating, do a few days of odd jobs, then go out and see blood. Asking them to suddenly come up with other methods is really difficult. How about starting a war? Miyajiman squinted and said, we're a bit short on territory, we can. Hearing Miyajiman's words, everyone immediately rolled their eyes. What kind of nonsense is this? A rare period of peace, and you actually want to start a war? This will bring shame upon the Land of Whirlpools. It doesn't align with the principles of the Land of Whirlpools. Uzumaki-jun shook his head and said, the Land of Whirlpools desires peace, yearns for peace, and upholds peace. How could the Land of Whirlpools be the one to start a war? This is the very foundation of the Land of Whirlpools' existence in the ninja world. We hate war, but we are not afraid of it. If we were to actually start a war, we would find ourselves in the same predicament Konoha is in now. Wanting to be peace envoys but riddled with stains, haven't you seen how the old monkey is constantly trying to whitewash Konoha and promote the will of fire? What about Jinjutsu? Uchiha Fugaku suddenly opened his eyes and said calmly, using Jinjutsu to simulate a war environment will create a sense of urgency for those trapped in the illusion. Hearing Uchiha Fugaku's words, Uzumaki-jun narrowed his eyes, nodded, and said, indeed, it's a good idea. Sure enough. In the ninja world, one must think like a ninja. Illusion techniques alone are too limiting. Just to trap an entire unit in an illusion would require a considerable number of Jinjutsu-type ninjas, and currently, the Jinjutsu ninjas of the Land of Whirlpools are mostly from the Uchiha and Miyagi clans, a drop in the ocean. Thinking of this, Uzumaki-jun sighed helplessly again. Where could he find a perfect solution? Knock knock. Suddenly, a knock sounded on the door. Your Highness-jun, the daimyo of the Land of Snow has come to visit and requests an audience. Chapter 2, the rest is omitted. Chapter 379 Crimson Sparks. Hearing Kazuka Saya's words, Uzumaki-jun fell silent. Technological advancement was the fundamental development strategy of the Land of Whirlpools. Therefore, since the re-establishment of its government, the Land of Whirlpools had always pursued technological and ninja advancements in tandem. The Land of Snow could also follow this path, but the perennial harsh weather brought not only inconvenience but also reduced crop yields, even making planting impossible. He had inquired about the Land of Snow's climate. Located near the polar regions, it was mostly icy and snowy year-round with very little warm weather. This severely limited agriculture. I see. Kazuka Saya sighed regretfully upon hearing Uzumaki-jun's words. She knew her own country's situation well. The Land of Snow's geographical location was indeed unfavorable. The country could barely make ends meet. If the climate were bad, with winter all year round, people might starve or freeze to death. When he saw the Land of Whirlpools develop through technology, improving the people's living standards, he had originally planned to follow the path of technological advancement as well. But now, isn't there a solution? Not at all. Uzumaki-jun stroked his chin, frowned, pondered for a moment, and said, as for crops, the land of whirlpools does have some that are suitable for the climate of the land of snow. Solving the problem of food and clothing is not an issue. Really? Kazuhana Saya was stunned when she heard Uzumaki-jun's words, looking at him nervously and expectantly, and asked, what kind of food? Kazuhana Noto also stared intently at Uzumaki-jun. Regardless of what he was thinking, he still hoped that the land of snow could become strong. Only when it became strong, would the land of snow have a voice, and its people would not be bullied by other countries. There's no rush. Uzumaki-jun said with a smile, I will arrange for a professional to explain it to you later. He himself only had a superficial understanding of this matter, but he was more familiar with it. He would ask Tai to explain to Kazuhana Saya which crops were suitable for the land of snow. But for a country to become strong, a high national happiness index and abundant food are only the foundation. The snow country is located in a cold region with a harsh climate. Its people live in a frigid environment year-round, without suitable jobs, making it impossible for them to work. This will inevitably lead to social chaos in the long run. A large number of idle laborers will inevitably cause trouble sooner or later. Moreover, for a country to develop and its economy to function, it must have its citizens working and creating value. Therefore, sufficient job opportunities are a measure to maintain social stability. What if the snow country used an environmental modification machine to change its perpetually frigid weather? Kazuhana Hayayuki pondered for a moment, then said, researchers in the country are already working on it. If successful, perhaps the snow country could truly have spring. Spring all year round, just thinking about it is exciting. This is also the largest and most important scientific research project in the land of snow. However, there's still no progress. This isn't good. After hearing Kazuhana's words, Uzumaki-jun shook his head and said, climate change is a natural law. Small-scale modifications might not be a big deal. But large-scale modifications will inevitably have a detrimental impact on the environment. Climate is cyclical. Once forcibly altered, it might not have a significant impact in the short term, but over the years, it will eventually erupt. Then, it will be even more troublesome. If you have time, you can go to the Land of Whirlpool's affiliated academy and attend some classes in the meteorology department. Uzumaki-jun sighed helplessly. The consequences of environmental degradation are not easily resolved. Soil erosion, desertification, frequent sandstorms and earthquakes, and even more severe climate disasters will occur. Oh, and there's also economics, the National Happiness Index, and the Angle Coefficient. These are all helpful for national development and improving the well-being of the people. You can all go and listen to them. I believe they will definitely benefit the development of the land of snow. In recent years, the Land of Whirlpools has been continuously improving the Academy's curriculum, so, quite a few majors have been added, such as agriculture, economics, environment, management, and so on. There's bound to be one that suits your child's career path. The clan chief was also preparing for the Academy's third reform, intending to further improve the education system of the Land of Whirlpools and enhance talent cultivation. If you want to know what an apple tastes like, then taste it yourself. Uzumaki-jun smiled. Theory must be combined with practice. What suits the Land of Whirlpools may not suit the land of snow. Daimyo Hayayuki can attend classes at the academy when he has time. The academy explains and studies Buddhism theory. I believe you will definitely gain something there. He certainly knew a thing or two about it himself. Asking him to teach students was probably more than the teachers currently teaching in the prisoner of war camps. After all, Buddhism was truly profound. Only by always keeping in mind the core values of communism, putting them into practice, basing ourselves on the basic national conditions, focusing on economic construction, adhering to the four cardinal principles, and liberating and developing social productive forces can we promote the comprehensive development of the country, improve the quality of life of all the people, and achieve common prosperity for the nation and its people. However, these core values cannot be changed. The Land of Whirlpools is very willing and eager to form an alliance with the Land of Snow, contributing its share to protecting the peace of the ninja world. As long as the Land of Snow is used as bait, it's believed that those still wavering nations won't take the bait. Kazuhana Hayate and Kazuhana Noto stared at the Land of Whirlpool's daimyo, who radiated a holy light, and were momentarily stunned. They never imagined that there would be such a generous, righteous, and benevolent person in the ninja world. He actually taught them the strategy for strengthening a nation. Indeed. He truly deserves to be the daimyo of the land of whirlpools who created the theory of communism. Truly, thank you so much. Kazuma Hayayuki quickly put on a serious expression, straightened her upper body, and slowly bowed. The land of snow will never forget the kindness of the land of whirlpools. Uzumaki-jun nodded with a smile and said calmly, "It's alright, it's all for the peace of the ninja world." He was already used to it. In that case, Daimyo Hayayuki will stay in the land of whirlpools for the time being. I hope you can gain something in the land of whirlpools and deeply understand the superiority and feasibility of Buddhism. He sighed inwardly. The seeds planted over the past few years are finally going to sprout. Konoha Year 44, June. The land of snow and the land of whirlpools officially formed an alliance. In these short 2 months, the daimyo of the land of snow benefited greatly and gained a deeper understanding of Buddhism, but he was also more worried. The contradictions within the country were not as simple as those in the land of whirlpools. Class contradictions, contradictions between productive forces and relations of production, contradictions between the economic base and the superstructure. These are not so easy to solve. After a night of discussion, Kazuka Hayate and Kazuka Nudo decided that although their country did indeed have ninja villages, following the path of communism like the land of whirlpools would inevitably lead to conflict with a ninja. Therefore, Kazuka Nudo would remain in the land of whirlpools to continue his studies, while Kazuka Hayate would seek military assistance from the people of the land of whirlpools, intending to implement sweeping reforms. July, Konoha Year 44. In the sweltering heat, Kazuka Hayate, carrying a large quantity of crops and technology, followed the army of the land of whirlpools towards the land of snow. A storm of communism was about to erupt in the ninja world. Chapter 1. Chapter 380 Ordinary Family Matters. After enduring a cold winter and a damp spring, this summer in the land of whirlpools is hotter than usual. Fortunately, air conditioning and refrigerators were developed long ago, so people aren't dying from the heat, but outdoor activities and work have been severely affected. I heard that Fuguki's grilled fish restaurant and Laozi's hot pot restaurant have also been impacted, with business declining significantly. Anyway, domestically, everything remains peaceful. As for abroad, as usual, it's a situation of overall peace with localized chaos. Small skirmishes occur frequently, but there's no large-scale chaos. Even the controversy surrounding the fourth Hokage of Konoha seems to have gradually subsided. However, I hear that the land of rain is getting worse. Influenced by the 3 great ninja villages, the legendary Ninja Sword Research Institute is located within the Land of Rain. The Land of Rain is already suffering from long-term internal strife, and with the arrival of foreign ninjas, the people are truly living in dire straits. After all, the ninjas of the 5 great ninja villages are not to be trifled with. Uzumaki-jun, cradling a 1-year-old Itachi, frowned and fell into deep thought. He figured Hanzo of the Salamander was probably regretting it now. The only pillar of the Land of Rain, the only village heir to the Rain Village, was now quite old. He hadn't resolved things while he was young and strong, and now it was even more impossible. Plus, most of the refugees in the Land of Whirlpools in recent years had been abducted from the Land of Rain, causing a significant decline in the Land of Rain's population. After all, it was a time of constant war. The dead always outnumbered the newborns. What are you thinking about? Mikado walked over gently, looked at Uzumaki-jun, poured him a glass of water, and said with a smile, "Don't you have to work today?" "Nothing." Uzumaki-jun came back to his senses, picked up the babbling Itachi, and said, "Everything has stabilized now, and the rest is handled by Hibiki, so I can rest for a few days." The 1-year-old Itachi has started to talk, though his pronunciation is still a bit unclear. After playing with Itachi for a while, Uzumaki-jun looked at the honey water with a straw in front of him and said, "Is this the honey sent by the Divine Bee Clan?" It wasn't specially made S-grade honey, but a new type of honey, more suitable for infants and young children. It was non-toxic, not too sweet, but highly nutritious. "Yes." Mikado nodded slightly and said, "The Divine Crane Clan sends a bottle every month. It has been tested by Xiangzi and Nanao and will not cause any harm to a 1-year-old baby. In fact, long-term use can help with growth and development and improve chakra activity." Uzumaki soon secretly took a sip and murmured, "The Uchiha clan's bloodline combined with the Uzumaki clan's bloodline, plus so many supplements, what will Itachi become in the future? Probably even more monstrous than Nagato's monstrous body. It's just that the taste is a bit bland, Not as strong a floral fragrance as an S rank, I don't really like it. You. Mikado rolled her eyes at Sun, who was stealing food, and said, "That's Itachi's. You're stealing food in front of him, be careful he gets angry." Yeah. Itachi heard someone call him and started swinging his body wildly again. "No, I won't." Uzumaki soon lifted Itachi up and shook him around, smiling as he said, "If you don't behave, Daddy will beat you." A good beating. He absolutely cannot be allowed to come into contact with that damned will of fire. The land of whirlpools only has red ideology. You will definitely become an excellent successor to red ideology. However, that's all nonsense. Mikado rolled her eyes, hugged Itachi, teased Itachi, and said, "If my mother-in-law hears it, she will definitely beat you again." What a kiss from another generation. Uzumaki stood up, stretched out, sighed and said helplessly, "Back then, I was mother's child. Now I beat him whenever I want. And the clan leader. It's really a headache." Recently, the clan leader has been looking at her more and more with opinions. Go to the great elder's place for a meal in the afternoon. Uzumaki soon pinched Itachi's white and tender little face. The old man has dedicated his whole life to the country of Uzumaki, and now it's time to retire. At such an age, he is still like a young man, staying up late to study all day long. Even the old man of the Uzumaki clan can't bear it. He certainly didn't want a respectable old man to suddenly die in his research lab one day. He wondered how the military training was going in the land of snow. He could ask about Zimu and G this afternoon, and also about Konoha. Sure enough, any public opinion would gradually fade with time. It seemed he needed to add fuel to the fire. After all, those prisoners were still waiting for them to pay for their ransom. I'll also take the first birthday gifts from the Maya Castle clan as souvenirs. He sighed inwardly. What kind of nonsense is this? They even brought spicy blood curd for a child. Did the Maya Castle gate not want to stay in business? If they didn't have anything to give, couldn't they at least give a bigger red envelope like Kokuzu? Thinking of this, Uzumaki-jun unconsciously smiled and murmured, "I didn't expect a black-faced god to be so generous." Okay. Mikado nodded slightly and said, "I'll prepare it later." After hesitating for a moment, she still felt she should speak up. It seems like Chief Fugaku's side is a bit. Something's not right. Ever since Madara's identity was revealed, Chief Fugaku seemed to have something on his mind. When he presented the Uchiha clan's secret technique as a first birthday gift, he kept glancing at Itachi, seemingly lost in thought. "Don't worry," Jun Uzumaki said after hearing Mikado's words, "I'll go talk to him in a few days. It's probably about Shin Uchiha's relationship with Madara Uchiha. Anyway, back then, he really was the one who tricked the Uchiha clan." Thinking of this, Uzumaki soon rubbed his head helplessly. Hopefully, these past few years of ideological education have had some effect. Looking at Itachi, who was still slurping his honey water. It seems like the wedding of Shiki and Yorchan is in a few days. Uzumaki soon stroked his chin and said, "Don't forget then." "No way. Chief Shinho delivered an invitation last time." Mikado covered her mouth and chuckled, but he had a grim face the whole time. "I wonder how Shiki is doing now? I heard he signed a 100-year indenture." Uzumaki soon said gleefully, "And he promised Shinho Ao-chan that the first child must bear the Shinho surname. After all, getting someone's daughter pregnant for no reason. Who wouldn't be angry? Not only that, even Chief Maya-chan has been frowning lately. You know, he's always wanted to become in-laws with Shinho Ao-chan. Now, there's no hope. Even if there were, Myajo-an wouldn't agree. For some reason, he and Shinko Yorzen simply don't get along. They're always bickering and teasing each other. And, he already has someone he likes, an ordinary girl with no special bloodline, but supposedly very gentle, obedient, and virtuous. Back then, he refused Myajaman's offer to become a Vortex policeman and chose to join the army because Myajaman was too strict, trying to arrange everything for him. And you know, he's already 20. Sure enough, growing up means getting arrogant. After joining the army, he rarely comes home. I heard Myajaman was so angry he almost had a heart attack. On holidays, after get off work, he'd drag Shinko Ao along, the two middle-aged men drinking and complaining together. Shen Qingfang had mentioned to him last time that Myajaman seemed to be having some regrets, and asked him to persuade Myajo-en. Uzumaki soon shook his head helplessly, muttering, "I should tell Myajo-en when Yeften gets married in a few days. Otherwise, what if Myajaman gets sick from anger? Didn't you see? The first birthday gift for Itachi this time was actually Maozu Wang, a spicy Sichuan dish? My mind is starting to go blank. Uzumaki soon checked the time and saw Itachi already asleep in Mikado's arms. A slight smile played on his lips as he whispered, "It's time, let's go." After visiting the Grand Elder, they planned to spend the night at their mother's. Otherwise, their parents would complain again about not bringing Itachi. Chapter 2, That's All. Chapter 381 The Uchiha Clan. Early morning. The land of whirlpools began its daily hustle and bustle once again. The long hours and routine of life had made the people accustomed to the rhythm of life in the land of whirlpools. The peaceful and stable order was the most reassuring aspect of life in a war-torn world. Fugaku. Uzumaki-jun, leaning on the railing, looked at Uchiha Fugaku, now the branch chief in his formal attire, and said with a smile, "Good morning." "Good morning." Uchiha Fugaku nodded slightly and said, "Lord Jun." He didn't know why Lord Jun had suddenly summoned him to the police station rooftop so early in the morning. Even in the middle of summer, mornings were extremely hot, let alone on the rooftop. Uchiha Fugaku walked to Uzumaki-jun's side, also leaning on the railing, quietly watching the morning in the land of whirlpools. This scene. He had never seen anything like it in Konoha. A peaceful and serene scene, yet full of life. Perhaps this was what the god of shinobi and Uchiha Madara had sought. However, they all failed. "Is there anything you need me to arrange?" Uchiha Fugaku paused for a moment before asking, "If there's nothing else, I should go to work." The new generation of the clan, that idiot Obito, when will he finally be able to stand on his own? Always so forgetful. Thankfully he's a good person. Aside from his love of smiling, he's inherited the excellent traditions of the Uchiha clan, such as diligence, a thirst for knowledge, and a willingness to help others. So, although he often makes mistakes, his performance rating is still quite high each period, enough to avoid being fired. Regarding Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Shin, Uzumaki-jun didn't stare at Uchiha Fugaku, but quietly looked at the morning scenery, smiling as he said, "What do you think?" After the third Tsuchikage's wild prediction last time, now most of the ninja villages in the ninja world are beginning to suspect that the mysterious Mangekyou Sharingan from back then was Uchiha Madara. After all, the Mangekyou Sharingan isn't so easy to awaken. Thinking of this, Uzumaki-jun felt a headache coming on. Even the third Tsuchikage himself admitted that Uchiha Madara wasn't that short, so why did he suddenly change his mind? Sure enough, old age breeds suspicion. Now he had to give Uchiha Fugaku psychological counseling. Hearing Uzumaki-jun's words, Uchiha Fugaku didn't react, quietly leaning against the railing, silent for a moment. "I knew it all along." His eyes darted around, turning to look quietly at Uzumaki-jun. "When I was doing the census, I felt something was off about Madara's eyes." Mangekyou Sharingan. Looking at those familiar eyes, Uzumaki-jun was stunned. He hadn't expected that Uchiha Fugaku had also awakened the Mangekyou Sharingan, just like in the anime. Later, according to the clan genealogy, I found someone who matched. The only one in the clan, and the first to awaken a Mangekyou Sharingan. Then, turning back, one of the founders of Konoha, the Uchiha who was eventually forced out by the clan. Madara. Although this did surprise me, since according to the first and second Hokage, Uchiha Madara was already dead. I didn't expect him to live so long. Moreover, the Uchiha clan did not see Uchiha Madara's body back then. As a deal, Uchiha Madara's body was given to Senju Tobirama for research, and Senju Tobirama had to ensure that the Uchiha clan could live peacefully in Konoha. The gist is, all those grudges have been forgiven, but unexpectedly. The Uchiha clan was almost wiped out by the second Hokage's disciple. Uchiha Madara, the professor of the land of whirlpools. Thinking of this, Uchiha Fugaku unconsciously smiled, self-deprecatingly saying, "What would happen if the first and second Hokage found out?" "I see." Uzumaki-jun nodded slightly, sighed, and said, "Bloodline limit." But, according to the clan genealogy, the first to awaken a Mangekyou Sharingan was the Sage of Six Paths, and before that, it was Kaguya. Not Uchiha Madara. Of course, if we're talking about the creation of the Uchiha lineage, it should start with Indra. But, what he wanted to ask wasn't Uchiha Madara, but Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Shin. Actually, it's never been. Uzumaki-jun thought for a moment, then decided to speak up himself, sighing as he said, "Uchiha Shin." There was no point in continuing to hide it. The Shinra clan and the Miyagi clan have lived in the land of whirlpools for many years, and Miyagi is the direct superior of the Uchiha clan. It's likely the Fugaku Uchiha would have guessed something. I know. Hearing Jun Uzumaki's words, Fugaku Uchiha remained calm and said indifferently, there has never been a person named Shin Uchiha. That Shin Uchiha who knows fire release was just you in disguise. You guessed that too. Jun Uzumaki's expression froze for a moment, then returned to calm, asking, you, when did you find out? What if something bad happens later? During the war. Fugaku Uchiha ignored Jun Uzumaki's change in expression and said calmly, when the last war started, a strange person dressed entirely in white sneaked in and told me. White Zetsu. Jun Uzumaki narrowed his eyes upon hearing Fugaku Uchiha's words. This black Zetsu really doesn't seem to be immune to trouble. He's even trying to sow discord between the Uchiha clan and the land of whirlpools? It seems it's time to assign him some work. As for now. Uzumaki-jun looked at Uchiha Fugaku with a wary expression, sighed, and said, I'm sorry. Back then, he really did consider impersonating Uchiha Madara, but in the end, something unexpected happened. However, Uchiha Fugaku shook his head, frowned, and looked down, saying, the Uchiha clan has no enmity with the land of whirlpools. You've already fulfilled your promise from back then. As for Konoha, that enmity is immense. He sighed, his expression still blank. The Uchiha clan will be wiped out in Konoha sooner or later. Just as his father had said, the Sharingan of the Uchiha was the source of all calamities. The second Hokage had distanced himself from the Uchiha clan back then, precisely because he was worried that another Mangekyo Sharingan would emerge from the Uchiha clan. And as his disciple, for the stability of the village, the stability of his own regime, the Uchiha could be said to have been on Konoha's blacklist long ago. It was just that initially, because the Uchiha were one of the two great ninja villages that founded Konoha, and had made great contributions to Konoha, it was difficult to act. They were just waiting for the Uchiha clan's reputation to be ruined before making their move. The clan members are living quite well now. Uchiha Fugaku said this, a sense of relief creeping across his face, a fleeting smile. Perhaps this is what father wanted to see. It's just, he sighed. The probability of the new generation awakening the Sharingan is gradually decreasing. This was also what he was worried about. Without the Sharingan, would the Uchiha clan still be the same Uchiha clan? But it doesn't matter anymore. Fugaku Uchiha paused for a moment, then said, we never wanted to control power, we just wanted to live a peaceful life, to be recognized by others. Now all of that has been achieved. It's not bad to let this evil power disappear. Fugaku Uchiha frowned as he looked down, and said calmly, if there's nothing else, I'm going to work. It seems someone on that street needs help. So early in the morning, could something have happened? Before he could finish speaking, before Jun Uzumaki could say anything, Fugaku flipped and jumped down. Actually, Jun Uzumaki looked at Fugaku Uchiha, who had already jumped down, and sighed helplessly, saying, there's something else I need to say. That is, perhaps the GD Bureau can help the Uchiha clan awaken their Sharingan, but right now it's just an empty shell, and it needs the time for the Uchiha clan to shine. Also, did that white Zetsu plant a tree? Chapter 1. Chapter 382 The Big Tiger. It's Jiraiya again. Apparently, he was caught by the Tsuchigumo clan members who were bringing their children to class this morning. They demanded he return the money he'd swindled at the bar last time. Jiraiya, being a proud man, quickly turned to leave, only to be surrounded by a group of Tsuchigumo parents. Seeing the parents gathering from all directions, Jiraiya dared not reveal himself as a teacher at the academy, as that would be a disgrace to the academy, and he'd lose his job. He, the Toad Sage, still needed this job to support himself. Although Haruko didn't mind him freeloading, the Sannin of Konoha still had his pride. Hadn't Orochimaru started looking at him with sarcasm? Didn't he know he was just a prisoner without even a salary? How dare he mock the Toad Sage? So, to show he wasn't like Orochimaru, that parasite, Jiraiya started working hard, only occasionally going out to freeload. In the ninja world, it's legal to earn a living through your own strength. And he always believed he could become a best-selling author. Didn't he see his epic ninja novel already in preparation? So, this wasn't a lie, it was a loan. He'd definitely pay it back when he had the money. But right now, I really will pay it back. Jiraiya looked at Uchiha Fugaku with tears streaming down his face. It was a classic case of two kindred spirits meeting. I swear in the name of the legendary Sannin of Konoha, the Toad Sage of the ninja world, Jiraiya. Give me 3 more months, no, a year. I will definitely succeed. However, Uchiha Fugaku completely ignored Jiraiya, still looking at him calmly, then lowered his head to write something down. He'd heard those words countless times. You have been expelled from the affiliated Academy of the Land of Whirlpools. Fugaku Uchiha finished recording, looked up, and said calmly, also, you are involved in 10 large-scale fraud cases. You have been added to the list of untrustworthy individuals in the Land of Whirlpools. Until you repay all debts and the full amount owed, you will be prohibited from taking public transportation, ships, or leaving the Land of Whirlpools for the time being. Fugaku Uchiha quietly looked at the bewildered Jiraiya before him. There is also a 1.5-month imprisonment sentence. I hope you will repay the debts as soon as possible. When did this happen? Why didn't he know about this? Jiraiya was stunned by Fugaku's words and asked, when did this happen? He hadn't been restricted from taking ships or cars during this time. This is a newly enacted law, Fugaku Uchiha said calmly. Since we couldn't find you, we thought you had left. We've now re-registered and updated your information. The laws of the Land of Whirlpools will become increasingly comprehensive. I hope you behave yourself. Then, he picked up the file and stood up. Obito, take him to be imprisoned. Jiraiya panicked upon hearing this and stood up, saying, can you pretend you didn't see me? We're all from the same hometown. Give me some face. But looking at Obito Uchiha approaching with a malicious expression, he knew, impossible. Wait, don't go. Fugaku, I want to see the daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools. I admit my mistake, isn't that enough? I have money. Call Hiruzen, Tsunade, this Toad Sage. You really have money. But, his chakra had been sealed when he entered the police station. What could he do now? He could only watch Fugaku's departing figure, and then. His hands were clasped by a young man, a former student of his. Hey, Obito. Jiraiya said unhappily, no matter what, I'm still your teacher, can you let me go? Sorry. Obito sighed regretfully, saying, it's my duty, you'd better come with me obediently. Then, with a gloating look on his face. 2 big tigers in the Land of Whirlpools, you and Tsunade-sensei. Perhaps you'll run into Tsunade-sensei next time? Hearing Obito's words, Jiraiya immediately perked up and asked, Tsunade was also captured? No, not at all. Obito shook his head and said, the Senju clan leader paid off her debts in advance. What nonsense are you talking about? Jiraiya sighed regretfully. He thought he could be imprisoned with Tsunade. This immortal's reputation. Is it going to be ruined like this? Jiraiya, head bowed, sighed. Can you let go? Let me walk by myself? And he looked down at the handcuffs on his hands. Can you take these off too? This Toad Sage will never run away. No. Obito shook his head and said, these are the rules. They are the law. So, Jiraiya-sensei, you'd better behave. Then, hearing Obito's words, Jiraiya sighed helplessly and said, give this Toad Sage a mask. One that could cover his hair. Otherwise, what if countless girls in the ninja world saw him? However, as soon as he finished speaking, click, click, a bunch of people holding strange crystals suddenly appeared. Have we sent him over? Uzumaki-jun looked at the documents in his hand, sighed, and asked, this can be said to be a milestone for the Land of Whirlpools. Tomorrow's headlines will definitely be about Jiraiya, no doubt about it. But, I wonder what Konoha will do when they find out? I guess Sarutobi will be furious. It's been arranged as you instructed. Hibiki Uzumaki nodded, her expression strange. But, are you sure Minato Namikaze can still be the village chief after this? It's alright. Jun Uzumaki shook his head, smiling. Good or bad is just a matter of a moment. If Minato Namikaze couldn't be the Hokage because of this, how could the old monkey have held the position for so long? So, will of fire. Hiruzen Sarutobi is much better at it. Jun Uzumaki's lips curled up slightly as he muttered, it's that black Zetsu who's always stabbing us in the back. He should deal with him sometime. This filial son. He's really determined to destroy the Land of Whirlpools. Yawn. Black Zetsu rubbed his nose, frowning, and said, heat stroke? Or maybe rhinitis? I don't know. White Zetsu spread his hands, looking at Black Zetsu, and said helplessly, by the way, you seem to be sneezing a lot these past few years. Is there something wrong with your health? Should I get you a doctor? Don't joke around. Black Zetsu rolled his eyes and said irritably, I'm my mother's wool, how could I be sick? His tone changed. Is Madara really dead? Yes. White Zetsu nodded, saying seriously, according to the information sent back by the White Zetsu who sneaked in, he is indeed dead. As for Toby, he sighed regretfully. I don't know where he went. As expected. Black Zetsu narrowed his eyes and said, those who have their own will are all a bunch of useless people. As a White Zetsu, Toby is really a good kid. But now, continue to send out White Zetsu to find out exactly where the Rinnegan is? Black Zetsu looked at White Zetsu seriously and said, also, ask Uchiha Fugaku, who awakened the main Gekkai Sharingan last time, what's his decision? We have to find a way to deal with that red-haired brat. Otherwise, how much longer will it be before he can see his mother? Thinking of this, Black Zetsu's eyes suddenly welled up with tears. Mom, Black Zetsu. I miss you. He has it so hard for him? Chapter 2, that's all. Chapter 383 Changing Konoha. Huh? Jiraiya-sensei? Minato put down his book, looked at the white-haired middle-aged man who suddenly walked in from the door, paused for a moment, and said with a smile, Jiraiya-sensei, are you here to visit me? Indeed, it seemed that Jiraiya-sensei hadn't visited him since arriving in the land of whirlpools. He hadn't seen Jiraiya-sensei during the New Year's Eve celebrations in the land of whirlpools either. He hadn't expected that Jiraiya-sensei would actually have time to visit him today. Jiraiya brushed aside Minato's sincere gaze, gave an awkward laugh, and said, yes. Minato, your teacher has come to visit you. He glanced at Obito, who was looking at him strangely, and quickly gave him a subtle wink. Don't say anything. Minato, you. He hesitated for a moment, then asked. How have you been these past few days? He suddenly realized that he was a really bad teacher. He had never seriously taught Minato ninjutsu, nor had he cared about Minato's life. Obito rolled his eyes, saying nothing. He had absolutely no interest in what was to come. So, Jiraiya-sensei, you'll be here for the next year and a half. I hope you'll abide by the rules and regulations and not break them again. He sighed. Otherwise, I'll have to stay here for several more years. Then he turned and left without looking back. Damn it. The scene fell silent for a moment. Haha. Jiraiya snapped out of his daze and quickly laughed. I understand. Please let me make an exception and stay for a while, kid. He glared fiercely at Obito's retreating back. That brat. He should have given him more homework back then. There's also the matter of writing a self-criticism, meeting the parents, copying books, memorizing texts. Turning to look at Minato, who was staring at him with a strange expression. I'll be staying here for a while. A smile played on his lips. Minato, if you have any questions, just tell me. Really. I'm doing this for your own good. Thank you, Jiraiya-sensei. Minato nodded with a smile, touched, upon hearing Jiraiya's words. I heard that Jiraiya-sensei went back to Konoha for the new year. So that's how it is. Jiraiya-sensei is so kind to me. As a student, there are some things you shouldn't pry into. How is Kaioken doing in the village? A warm smile appeared on his face. She hasn't been back to the village for a year. This. Hearing Minato's words, Jiraiya fell silent, saying, I'm sorry, Minato. Jiraiya-sensei, you. Minato was startled, his face filled with anxiety as he looked at Jiraiya nervously, asking, could it be that Kaioken? Could something have happened to her? No, not at all. Jiraiya sighed, saying helplessly, you know Kyuubi's identity. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, Konoha's only tailed beast Jinchuriki. So, during wartime, if the situation is good, the village won't do anything to her to protect the Nine-Tails. But once the village. This is both a Jinchuriki's duty and responsibility. Kyuubi is doing well in the village now. Jiraiya's face showed a reassuring smile. You don't need to worry. Fortunately, Grandpa Kasuke and I intervened in time to control the situation, otherwise. Minato, you'd have to find a new wife. It's just that because of the Jinchuriki, Kyuubi's existence has been officially exposed. Back then, Lady Mito had Lord Hashirama, the Senju clan, and she rarely went out, so no one dared to say anything. But Kyuubi, all alone. She's not having an easy time. Is that so? Minato sighed, shook his head slightly, and said with a bitter smile, I've made you worry, master. Thinking of Kyuubi's situation, his heart clenched. He was such a useless person. When Jiraiya needed him most, he wasn't there for her. Jiraiya must be heartbroken and lonely right now. Thinking of this, Minato clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with determination. He looked up at Jiraiya and asked, "What does Jiraiya-sensei think of Konoha now?" Jiraiya fell silent. He didn't know how to answer. Seeing Minato's determined gaze and serious expression, he sighed, about to say something. "Jiraiya-sensei, there's no need to say anything." Seeing Jiraiya's expression, Minato knew. Jiraiya-sensei loved Konoha. He shook his head with a wry smile and said, "Jiraiya-sensei left Konoha? Tsunade-sama and Haruko-sama left Konoha? The Uchiha clan and the Senju clan also left Konoha? I know." Perhaps he didn't understand before, but now, he knew. Konoha wasn't as good as he imagined. Otherwise, why would so many people want to come to the land of whirlpools? The Four Tails from Iwagakure can open a hot pot restaurant here, ninjas from Kirigakure can sell grilled fish here, members of the Uchiha clan can work as police officers here, members of the Senju clan can do manual labor here, and Lord Haruko can be the headmaster here. Why is that? But Konoha is always worried that the Jinchuriki might suddenly lose control of their tailed beasts and wreak havoc on the village, worried that the bloodline clans are too powerful and threaten village management, worried that the ninjas are too strong and bring danger to the village, worried that outsiders will cause damage to the village. Konoha has never changed. Or rather, the ninja world has never changed. It has never changed. I want to change Konoha. Minato raised his head, looking intently at Jiraiya, and said firmly, to make Konoha as prosperous, free, and happy as the land of whirlpools. To make the ninja world. To achieve true peace. Minato, you. Jiraiya was stunned when he heard Minato's words. He had been searching for the chosen one of the ninja world, never giving up on placing his hopes on that chosen one, but he had never thought to change the ninja world on his own. Looking at Minato's determined eyes, Jiraiya's heart trembled, and he sighed. He was not as good as Minato. He raised his head and said seriously, "You want to become Hokage? Welcome to today's midday news. I am your host, Otsutsuki Tetsudo." A silver-haired boy with Byakugan and wearing a uniform said with a smile. "I am your host, Uzumaki Aya." A red-haired girl in a woman's uniform said with a smile. Now we will be broadcasting today's news. Since the establishment of communism in the land of whirlpools, it has been, with rapid economic development and a significant increase in comprehensive national strength, the living standards of our residents have greatly improved. In terms of culture and education, our country has basically achieved 6 years of compulsory education, and the education system has been further improved. Under the impact of the influx of foreign populations, the population of the land of whirlpools has also experienced explosive growth in recent years, with the birth rate increasing year on year. Especially with a continuous improvement of medical standards, the mortality rate has also greatly decreased. Truly gratifying, truly gratifying. Hirozen Sarutobi frowned as he looked at the Land of Whirlpools channel on the crystal cube. He had bought this from a foreign merchant, and he would turn it on every afternoon to listen to the reports on the development of the Land of Whirlpools, which only deepened his worries. Could it be that the Land of Whirlpools is really that powerful? If things continue like this, the ninja system will definitely be challenged, and the ninja villages will also vanish. Hirozen Sarutobi, his eyes filled with worry, watched the television, took a sip of tea, and murmured, "How can Konoha?" However, before he could finish speaking, his face filled with disbelief as he stared at the familiar white-haired middle-aged man's smiling face, his eyes obscured by a thick black line, suddenly appearing on the screen. He immediately spat out a mouthful of tea. Jiraiya. Today, the Whirlpool Country Police have officially arrested a super conman who has been scamming people out of food and drink throughout the Whirlpool Country for years. As soon as the male host finished speaking, the female host smiled and said, "This middle-aged man has been frequenting bars, barbecue restaurants, and other public places in the Whirlpool Country, deceiving people by claiming to be one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha and the Toad Sage of Mount Myaboku." Chapter 1. Chapter 384 The Army of Justice. Late July, 45th year of Konoha. Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha, a successor of Mount Myaboku, and who called himself the Toad Sage, was swindling people in the land of whirlpools, defrauding them of a huge sum of money. The news caused quite a stir in the ninja world. After all, the legendary Sannin of Konoha had distinguished themselves during World War II through their own abilities, yet now they had stooped to swindling. Many began to suspect that the Konoha leadership had mistreated their heroes, and questioned the third Hokage's teaching methods. For one of the legendary Sannin to go to another country to be a swindler was a disgrace to the nation. Especially since he was using a large crystal from the land of whirlpools to spread the word. Konoha's face and reputation suffered a severe blow. Many ninja villages sent congratulatory messages, especially the other 4 major ninja villages, whose number of missions sent to them increased by 5 percentage points year on year during this period. Upon witnessing this, the third Hokage quickly issued an official statement, asserting that it was a conspiracy by the land of whirlpools. He urged everyone not to believe the words of other countries, emphasizing that Jiraiya is an excellent ninja of Konoha, having shed blood and rendered meritorious service for the village. Konoha had never wronged any hero, and he urged everyone to trust Konoha and to trust the third Hokage. Konoha would never allow its heroes to shed blood and tears. He also strongly condemned the immoral actions of the land of whirlpools. Regardless, the friendship between Konoha and the land of whirlpools dates back to the time of the first Hokage, a long and profound one. How could the land of whirlpools do such an unethical thing and smear Konoha? Immediately, under the control of the will of fire, the entire village of Konoha united as one, condemning the land of whirlpools. They believed that Lord Jiraiya was a hero of Konoha, and that he must have been arrested by the land of whirlpools on trumped-up charges for Konoha's sake. Furthermore, they were astonished that Lord Jiraiya and his student, Lord Minato, had suffered such humiliation for Konoha, truly a family of unwavering loyalty. However, a discordant voice suddenly rang out. Rescue Lord Jiraiya, redeem Lord Minato, and welcome Lord Minato to be Hokage. What do you think? Hiruzen Sarutobi frowned as he looked at the letter in his hand, and said with emotion, Jiraiya also thinks Minato is suitable to be Hokage. No. Kahoru Utatane shook her head and said seriously, I still maintain that the position of village chief is not something that can be compromised just because of pressure from outsiders. Can't you see it? Looking at them seriously. The land of whirlpools definitely has the shadow of Uzumaki behind this. Who can guarantee that Jiraiya wasn't threatened? This. Hiruzen Sarutobi took a puff of his cigarette, stood up with a sigh, and said, but what should Konoha do now? He never expected that the land of whirlpools would go from being a pawn to the one wielding the chessboard, and even, be able to influence the situation of the ninja world. Now, some people in the village are starting to question me. He sighed. They think I never intended to relinquish the Hokage position, that all my promises were false and hypocritical. If this continues, his authority as Hokage will definitely be damaged. Besides, I don't believe Jiraiya is that kind of person. With Sage Mode, his immunity to Ninjutsu is already strong, how could just anyone threaten him? Therefore, Jiraiya must genuinely want Minato to become Hokage. This. Kahoru Utatane and Hamura Medikato exchanged a glance, hesitated for a moment, sighed, and said, let's wait a little longer. I'm really worried until the situation becomes clear. After all, they are Konoha's senior advisors, they can't just let anyone become Hokage, even if he has the approval of the entire village now, it's still not acceptable. They are all doing this for Konoha. As for Hiruzen Sarutobi, after hearing Kahoru Utatane's words, he paused for a moment, then nodded and said, I will arrange for someone to go to the land of whirlpools as soon as possible to investigate Jiraiya's situation. If the situation is satisfactory, I will immediately redeem Minato and make him Hokage. As for Danzo, who had been wearing a sour face, he was completely ignored by everyone. At the daimyo's residence in the land of fire. Namikaze Minato. The daimyo of the land of fire looked at the intelligence in his hand and murmured, the fourth Hokage. He looked up at his ministers, what do you think? This. The ministers exchanged glances, unsure what to say. In the past, the affairs of the ninja villages were solely the affairs of the ninja villages. Aside from legitimizing the next Hokage, they had no other power. But since the land of whirlpools abolished the ninja villages and became powerful, the daimyo's ulterior motives began to stir. After all, which daimyo wanted to see the military power of his country held by someone else? Previously, there was no other way, as the one country, one village policy had indeed brought considerable convenience to the nation, stabilized internal strife, and shifted domestic conflicts abroad. However, now, the power of the ninja villages was growing too much. Perhaps the daimyo should meet with Minato Namikaze. An older minister stepped forward and suggested, it wouldn't be too late to make a decision then. They could only compromise now. Otherwise, speaking carelessly could lead to an unexplained death. In that case, the Fire Country daimyo pondered for a moment, sighed, and said, let's do as you say. This was the only option. After all, Konoha's ninja strength was simply too great, while his, the daimyo, possessed a military force, which was somewhat laughable. Secretly send someone to visit the daimyo of Uzumaki and inquire whether a meeting with Minato Namikaze is possible. Remember. The daimyo's eyes narrowed. Absolutely cannot let Konoha find out. He sighed helplessly. It seemed, the daimyo's mansion should also establish its own ninja force. Meanwhile, in the land of snow. Captain, the ninjas in the land of snow are really weak. Uzumaki ninja shivered and said, it's just so cold here. It's already mid-August. And as far as the eye can see, it's still all white. When can we go back? He missed the food of the land of whirlpools. Wait. The Uzumaki ninja captain took a drag of his cigarette and said calmly, the mission isn't complete yet, it's not time to go back. Their current identity in the land of snow is that of a peacekeeping force for the ninja world, here to maintain peace, for justice. So, is there anyone willing to stay? The Uzumaki ninja captain looked at the Uzumaki ninja and said, after this is over, the rest of you will follow me downstream. These small countries in this area. This entire area must be brought under the influence of the land of whirlpools. Only in this way can the entire ninja world be brought into hope and happiness. In Konoha 46, with a red revolution in the land of snow, the entire country burst forth with vitality. Seeing this perpetually cold nation gradually prospering under the transformation of redism, the surrounding daimyo began to seriously consider this red system. After all, no daimyo wanted their country to remain impoverished and starving. And the ninjas of various countries, witnessing the scene, saw the end of the ninja world had arrived. Their former high position, controlling the nation's resources, wealth, and power, and wielding control over the common people, were all destroyed by the torrent of redism. To protect their own interests, the major ninja villages launched wars, rejecting domestic reforms and believing that the ninja villages were the only factor maintaining stability in the ninja world. The land of whirlpools was wrong. Summer of Konoha 46. The smaller countries descended into chaos, and class conflict between ninjas and commoners erupted. As for the five great nations, their powerful ninja forces suppressed any rebellious forces, thus maintaining the usual harmonious scene. However, under the interference of the land of whirlpools, the ninja forces of the smaller countries gradually fell into disadvantageous position and were forced to seek help from the five great ninja villages. The five great ninja villages also began to realize the seriousness of the situation, put aside their prejudices, and began to form an alliance once again, uniting with the forces of the remaining surrounding smaller countries to strongly condemn the land of whirlpools for interfering in the internal affairs of other countries and demanding that the land of whirlpools withdraw its troops. However, the official statement from the land of whirlpools was, we are stationing troops at the request of the daimyo's mansion of a smaller country. It is legal and just. Just when everyone thought that a war was about to break out, the entire ninja world presented an eerie peace, and no war broke out. Thus, in early Konoha 47, a total of 17 countries successfully revolutionized, joined the Reddist organization, and established the Red United Nations. A unified currency, a unified system, a unified measuring scale, and a revised Konoha-era name were established. With a day the land of whirlpools re-established its government designated as Red Year 1. It has now been Red Year 19. The land of whirlpools will provide military, economic, and political aid to any country that joins the organization, while simultaneously implementing the Belt and Road Initiative development policy to help countries recover and develop, deepen reforms, and achieve common prosperity for the ninja world. At that time, under the superiority of redism, all countries will begin to flourish. Chapter 2, and that's it. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 385 Construction. In the 47th year of Konoha's reign, 17 nations formally formed an alliance. To facilitate communication among them, in early 19th year, The land of whirlpools established airports in 16 of its allied nations, creating a rational and safe air route system. This deepened connections and exchanges between the allied nations and, to some extent, promoted economic development in each country. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Alliance member, the Land of Whirlpools International Airlines Flight WZG-007, bound for the Land of Snow. Thank you very much to all passengers and Air China frequent flyer members for your continued support and trust in Air China. We sincerely invite more passengers to join the Air China frequent flyer program. Passengers, Flight WZG-007 to the Land of Snow is about to take off. Please remain in the designated safe area and do not climb the railings. Please contact our staff with any requests. We are now playing a safety information video for you. Please watch it carefully. Our entire crew will be happy to serve you. We wish you a pleasant journey. Thank you. Take off. Take off. A little girl excitedly walked around on the deck, saying, "Now we can see the kingdom of Arendelle and Elsa. Zingzi, don't run around." A young man looked at his daughter with a smile and said, "Don't cause trouble for others. Daddy." The little girl ran over happily, hugged her father's leg, looked up, and said, "Do you think we'll be able to see Elsa, Olaf, and Cotton Candy? Oh, and the goblins, they're short. How interesting." "Of course you will." The young man picked up Zingzi, his eyes full of affection, and said, "You'll definitely see them all." However, a sense of helplessness welled up inside him. He didn't even know if they would. After all, Ice Monsters was just a movie produced by the Land of Whirlpools. Everything in it was fictional, fake. Even Elsa and Anna were just played by members of the Uzumaki Clan, from the Land of Whirlpools. But seeing the child's innocent and expectant eyes, as a father, he couldn't bear to tell Zingzi the cruel truth when she was so young. He shook his head slightly at his wife, who was about to say something, and then looked at his daughter in his arms. "Zingzi is so cute, she'll definitely see it." He glanced at the ticket he was holding, the one he had stayed up all night to buy for the Snow Country fantasy journey. He'd heard that the movie was filmed in the Snow Country, so there should be some similar things there. Besides, these 5 days were an event specially organized by the Snow Country for ISO. He hoped it wouldn't disappoint Zingzi. After all, he had specifically taken these few days off to bring the whole family on a trip. "Let's see what you're going to do then." His wife, looking at her husband lost in thought, walked over and whispered a complaint. "If Zingzi doesn't see what he wants to see in a few days, he'll be very sad. You'll have to comfort him yourself then." Then, she reached out and took Zingzi. "Zingzi, come here, mommy's holding you, let daddy rest first." She knew her husband had stayed up all night queuing to get those 3 tickets. So, she glared at him fiercely. "He's so tired, why doesn't he go and rest?" The Land of Whirlpools. After the establishment of the United Nations, its influence on the ninja world was quite profound. For example, some stubborn countries and ninja villages, although they didn't follow the reforms due to their own interests, instead using force to suppress discontent within their borders, the seeds of unrest had already been sown. Rebellious organizations emerged from time to time, especially among the ninjas who had been prisoners of war in the Land of Whirlpools. In a sense, they simply had no chance. Moreover, in this eerie atmosphere of peace, they understood that the Land of Whirlpools could no longer, as before, directly overthrow the stubborn forces within its borders and help them establish a new regime. Especially the daimyo of certain countries, they didn't truly accept the Land of Whirlpools system. They believed it was the root of the ninja world's chaos, particularly some of the smaller countries, whose daimyo themselves held extremely strong control over their ninjas. These smaller countries, where the daimyo was also the leader of a ninja village, what they truly desired was to maintain their own power, not to have it threatened. Therefore, under the combined influence of the daimyo and the noble ninjas of various countries, it could be said that their domestic revolutionary forces had absolutely no ability to resist, their living space being gradually compressed. After all, a ninja system of over 1,000 years, a ninja village policy of over 40 years, without external assistance, it wasn't so easily eradicated. Especially with the 5 great ninja villages still intact, their allies wouldn't compromise so easily. It can be said that Hirozen Sarutobi's decisive action in uniting the other 4 major ninja villages to control the situation was a very correct move. However, it was merely a matter of prolonging life. That's how times are. When the tides of history pass, those who cannot keep up will be swept away by the massive waves. Perhaps they can survive once or twice, but a declining ninja village or nation will eventually disappear compared to a thriving one. The Land of Whirlpools. With the deepening exchanges between nations, the Land of Whirlpools has now become a center for international exchange and trade. Especially after the unification of currency, a new type of paper currency replaced the original silver used for trade and began to flow into the allied nations. Under these circumstances, the Land of Whirlpool's economy and trade have increased several times over. Therefore, the number of people traveling to and from this developed country is gradually increasing, and it's common to see citizens of other countries traveling to and from the Land of Whirlpools for work or trade. With the help of the Land of Whirlpools, various countries began acquiring old-fashioned wooden airships from there to establish their own trade fleets and airlines. In this thriving commercial environment, the specialties of each country began to appear throughout the ninja world. Even the most stubborn ninja villages, seeing such high quality and inexpensive goods, wouldn't stop caravans from entering. After all, nobles and merchants are both greedy. To prevent suspicious individuals from entering, each country would establish border defenses. Here, merchants would sell goods to nobles, who would then sell them to their own people. However, this led to a widening gap between the rich and poor, and increasingly severe social conflicts. Chapter 1. Chapter 386 Fourth Generation. Jiraiya Sensei. Minato looked at Jiraiya, who was dozing off in front of him, and shook his head helplessly. I should go back to the village. Since Jiraiya Sensei came, he had recommended some books about communism to his teacher, but Jiraiya Sensei simply couldn't get into them. Every day he was either talking about creating a masterpiece or dozing off. This year he had seen Jiraiya Sensei writing and drawing something, but as for what it was, he didn't know. Are you leaving? Hearing Minato's words, Jiraiya immediately perked up, looked at Minato, and said seriously, I have nothing more to teach you. He stood up and patted Minato's shoulder. If anything happens in the village, you can write to me. Don't carry it all alone. He sighed inwardly. Konoha is in your hands. Minato had been in the Land of Whirlpools for more than 2 years, and even if he really became Hokage, changing Konoha wouldn't be so simple. Although he'd been sleeping in late every day for the past few years, he'd still studied the development of the Land of Whirlpools. That brat was able to transform the Land of Whirlpools into what it is today for 3 reasons. First, he saved the Land of Whirlpools back then. Second, he possessed unparalleled strength. And third, the family relationships in the Land of Whirlpools weren't as complicated as they are now. It was just the Uzumaki Clan, his own family, which allowed him to slowly and steadily change the Land of Whirlpools. As for Konoha, let's not even talk about it. It's a whole bunch of messy families there. I'll ask you one more time. Jiraiya suddenly adopted a serious expression. Are you really going to do this? It's not too late to regret it now. Jiraiya-sensei, Minato looked at Jiraiya-sensei's expression, nodded seriously, and said, I want to change Konoha. He wanted the ninja to live in a peaceful, free world, without war or discrimination. So, he had no choice but to do this. Minato, you. Hearing Minato's words, Jiraiya's face immediately lit up with a smile. He nodded with satisfaction and said, You've grown up. In that case, you must remember this in Konoha. You will face more enemies than you imagine, but don't forget. Your teacher will always be behind you. Perhaps he couldn't change the ninja world, but his students would definitely change the ninja world. It's just, he still has to stay here all alone for a few more months. Damn it. Konoha Year 47, Red 19 Spring. What do you think of the Red United Nations? Hiruzen Sarutobi, looking haggard, took a drag of his cigarette. Looking at his companions who had silently protected Konoha for so many years, he asked, the future of ninjas. What should he do? He had observed and pondered this for some time. If things continued like this, Konoha would eventually follow in the footsteps of those countries and disappear. He had always adhered to the first Hokage's ideals. Only a one country one village system could save the ninja. If you didn't believe him, just look at the radism of the Land of Whirlpools. So many wars have broken out in the ninja world lately, big and small, all sorts of conflicts. Therefore, the Land of Whirlpools was wrong. Radism was the root of the chaos in the ninja world. He had to protect the first Hokage's ideals. Especially, he'd heard that someone in the daimyo's court was secretly sowing discord between the ninja villages and the nation, suggesting that the ninja villages were unnecessary. This was truly a turbulent time. The only way now is to consolidate the power of the remaining ninja villages. Kahoru detained thought for a moment, sighed, and said, and prepare for war with all our might. They would inevitably clash with Redism sooner or later. This was no longer a time for compromise or concessions between the ninja villages and the Reds. In the end, only one could survive. Otherwise, the chaos would continue indefinitely. Sigh. Hiruzen Sarutobi sighed helplessly upon hearing his team strategist's words. That's all we can do. First, appease the people of the village, assure them that Konoha will absolutely protect their lives, and increase the percentage of bounties earned by ninjas. With some ninja villages disappearing, the remaining villages' share of missions had increased significantly. At the same time, Hiruzen Sarutobi hesitated for a moment, then said, increase ninja training and relax graduation requirements. Now, he sighed again. We can't wait any longer. Just as he finished speaking. Knock knock. An Anbu ninja entered, respectfully announcing, Hokage-sama, Minato Namikaze has returned. Konoha year 47, Red year 19, April. On the rooftop of the Hokage building, under Hiruzen Sarutobi's arrangement, Minato Namikaze assumed the position of fourth Hokage. Immediately, Konoha erupted in cheers, because the third Hokage had endured far too long, dedicating his entire life to Konoha. Even while temporarily serving as Hokage, he never ceased his efforts, rising before dawn and working until nightfall every day. He was simply too exhausted. Therefore, they greatly approved of the appointment of the young and promising Yellow Flash as the fourth Hokage. This powerful figure who had single-handedly challenged the land of whirlpools would surely lead Konoha to glory once more. However, while everyone in the surrounding villages was watching Minato Namikaze, expecting him to do something to establish his authority after being forced to stay in the land of whirlpools for so long, Konoha remained peaceful. Nothing happened. Konoha year 47, Red year 19, May. Except for a few ninja villages that didn't keep up with the times and occasionally experienced unrest, the ninja world remained peaceful. The Red Organization's allied nations were gradually stabilizing. The status of ninjas was once again lowered, and the allied nations began to learn from the land of whirlpool system, political structure, and management methods, treating ninjas as an ordinary profession, while simultaneously strengthening their research and technology. Of course, aside from the land of snow, whose tourism industry gradually flourished due to a movie, giving it a significant economic lead over other countries, most nations were developing at a similar pace. This led countries to begin taking television and mobile phones seriously. Daimyo, feudal lords, gradually established base stations within their borders, and some member states, not wanting to lag behind, secretly researched communication satellites. After all, it was unsettling to have one country's communications controlled by another. Therefore, at this time, the ninja world officially entered a semi-communication era, a communication era encompassing half of the ninja world. Meanwhile, in the land of whirlpools, with a continuous influx of people, a large labor force emerged again, and the economy saw a significant increase, especially in the volume of exports, leading to explosive growth in GDP. Simultaneously, under the forest system of the land of whirlpools, the economies of other countries also improved significantly, and their economic dependence on the land of whirlpools was gradually increasing. Chapter 2, the rest is omitted. Chapter 387 Unit 01. This is our latest development, we call it Unit 01. Chiro pointed excitedly at the humanoid machine, about 10 meters tall and covered in a metallic sheen, and said, it's based on the human body's structure and our analysis and research on the tailed beasts. Doesn't it look like the Gundam you mentioned? Chiro stood in front of Unit 01, arms outstretched. This is simply the greatest work in human history. Uzumaki-san looked at the Unit 01 feet in front of him, paused for a moment, and said, what about its power? This thing does resemble a mechanical nine-tails, rather soft and rounded, lacking the sharp, angular beauty of a Gundam. But Unit 01. When was this named? Shouldn't the name be chosen by him, the daimyo of the land of whirlpools? Very strong. Chiro nodded, his face serious, stronger than an elite Chunin. Its main power source is the four-tails chakra, so its power is great, but its consumption is also very fast. Of course, we'll have to wait until testing to know its exact strength. Isn't the thing just a mechanical version of the four tails? Uzumaki-san sighed helplessly and said, hasn't it been tested yet? Let's see how it goes first before considering anything else. Yes. Kyanlu nodded and said, the ninja world isn't suitable for testing. True. Uzumaki soon nodded, stroking his chin, and muttered, looks like we'll have to test it on the moon. This kind of heavy weapon should be tested secretly somewhere, otherwise, it wouldn't be good if the enemy found out. Pilot? Uzumaki soon looked around. Come with me to the moon. Judging from the situation, Kyanlu, Hiruko, and Orochimaru would probably come along. After all, how could they conduct the first test without researchers present? Scorpion, come here quickly. Hearing that they were about to depart, Kyanlu quickly called out to the red-haired youth behind her who was fiddling with something, we're leaving. Coming. Scorpion looked up, glanced at her, then lowered his head again to continue fiddling, saying, wait until I get the frequency right. Uzumaki soon glanced at Scorpion crouching behind him. When did he arrive? Why hadn't he seen him earlier? And, had he taken leave? Done. Scorpion clapped his hands, stood up, nodded in satisfaction, and said with emotion, although it has many flaws, but it's truly a masterpiece. Perhaps in the future, it will change the traditional way puppeteers fight, turning wooden puppets into mechanical Gundams, and the traditional method of controlling multiple puppets will become outdated. After all, piloting just one is quite troublesome. At the same time, this kind of Gundam will probably empty the puppeteer's coffers. You see, this Unit 01 feat basically used up all the funds of the mechanical department. The cost was quite considerable. So, this time there's another purpose, which is to apply for another batch of funding. Sasori touched Unit 01 feat. He had to show it off later. Otherwise, how could he possibly get the funding? Is everyone here? Uzumaki soon glanced at the people around him. There were 10 people in total. Besides Chira and the other two, and Sasori as the pilot, the rest were assistants, and of course, some equipment. He sighed helplessly, looking at the 10-meter-tall Unit 01 feat in front of him. He'd better just put them all into the system. Otherwise, with so many tall, large, and numerous machines, it would be really difficult to transport them. Thinking it and acting on it, Uzumaki soon lightly patted the Gundam and all the equipment, and they all vanished instantly, leaving only a group of dumbfounded researchers. Space-time Ninjutsu. Orochimaru, in particular, squinted and curiously licked his lips. Space-time Ninjutsu, truly intriguing. Hurry up, everyone gather around, we're about to set off. Uzumaki soon shouted after packing the things. Go early, and come back early for dinner. Now, only a few members of the Uzumaki clan are still working on the moon, the rest have moved to the land of whirlpools. After all, humans yearn for a better, happier life. Why suffer when there's a comfort zone? Even the Uzumaki clan members still on the moon take a vacation every now and then to return to the land of whirlpools. Especially now that the entire Uzumaki clan has acquired citizenship and joined the land of whirlpools, particularly the younger generation, who, under the land of whirlpools education, are already proper citizens. Of course. I heard that for some special reasons, the Hyuga clan in Konoha has severed ties with the Uzumaki clan and issued a statement saying they are not allies. Sigh. It's obvious that the Konoha leadership won't believe that so easily. So, Uzumaki-jun would have Otsutsuki Susumu call the Hyuga clan every now and then. And since cell phones don't have a blacklist function yet, it seems the entire ninja world knows they're not allies, but they still call each other every day. How pathetic. Fourth Hokage. Hyuga Hayashi looked expressionlessly at the newly appointed fourth Hokage before him and said calmly, "What brings you here?" This man, who had only recently returned to Konoha, was already summoning him, the nominally powerful clan of Konoha, to speak with him. Did he think the Hyuga clan already had enough trouble? Hyuga clan head. Minato looked at the wary Hayashi and said with a smile, "I heard the Hyuga clan is suffering greatly because of the Otsutsuki clan?" Having spent so much time in the land of whirlpools, he knew about the Otsutsuki clan. Although they did have Byakugan, the Otsutsuki clan all had silver-white hair, while the Hyuga clan all had black hair, so the two clans were indeed different. However, none of that mattered. Don't be nervous. Seeing the Hyuga clan leader suddenly narrow his eyes and stare at him, Minato smiled helplessly. Then, leaning on the railing and looking at the Konoha villagers coming and going below, he said, "Believe me, I really mean no harm. The Hyuga clan and the Otsutsuki are only distant relatives." Hayashi sighed, also looking at the street scene, and said, "Besides, the Hyuga clan will never betray Konoha." Was the higher-ups dissatisfied with the Hyuga clan? Suddenly having the fourth Hokage personally come down to meet with him, could it be? A flash of worry crossed his eyes. As the only surviving major clan in Konoha, he knew the truth behind the annihilation of the Senju and Uchiha clans. Was it finally the Hyuga clan's turn this time? I believe in the Hyuga clan. Hearing Hayashi's words, Minato nodded, sighed wistfully, and said, "This time I'm only here on my own behalf. It has nothing to do with the third Hokage or the Konoha advisors." Only after becoming Hokage did he truly understand the meaning of Jiraiya's words. You face more enemies than you imagine. Not only was the third Hokage preventing him from implementing reforms, but even the Konoha advisory group disagreed. It could be said that he, the fourth Hokage, was being sidelined. Sidelined by the third Hokage and his allies. He now had no one truly on his side. Whatever orders he gave needed to be reviewed by the third Hokage and the advisory group. He had tried to rebuild the advisory group, but all attempts had inexplicably failed. Now, he understood. He was merely the Hokage in name only. Aside from sitting in that position, he had absolutely no real power. Minato wore a bitter smile. What do you think of Konoha? Konoha. Hearing the fourth Hokage's words, Hayashi paused, then quietly gazed at the street, which was as peaceful as ever. Perhaps he couldn't see it, but the darkness of Konoha always existed. Coming back to his senses, he looked at Minato expressionlessly. This has nothing to do with my Hyuga clan, fourth Hokage. He, of course, guessed what the fourth Hokage meant, but the Hyuga clan couldn't afford to gamble. The Hyuga clan are ninjas, they only obey orders from above. Chapter 1. Chapter 388 Experiment. Amid strange, synthesized electronic sounds, Sasori sat in the cockpit. The cockpit was right in front of his chest, quite normal indeed. Uzumaki-jun nodded in satisfaction. It seemed this wasn't some inferior product like Orochimaru's, with only a start and stop button. The operating system is modified using a puppeteer's exclusive secret technique, chakra threads. Chiro said with a smile, looking at Unit 01, developed collaboratively by Sasori and me, it reduces the puppeteer's cumbersome manipulation methods. The control panel is activated via chakra threads, and then Unit 01 is controlled. As you command, the design makes the entire operating system simpler, more convenient, and more stable. As soon as he finished speaking, Unit 01 glowed red, and then, moved its legs, stretched its arms. Agile, isn't it? Chiro explained again, this aspect was achieved by Haruko through research on human joints, adjusting and integrating it into the machine. That's right, the joints are made of sans gold, Haruko suddenly interjected, nodding as she spoke. It increases the sensitivity and flow of chakra, like a person's blood vessels and meridians, so that Unit 01 doesn't experience any stagnation no matter what movement it makes. Don't be fooled by its leg-twisting movements now, look at what's coming next. Uzumaki-jun turned to look at Unit 01, which was radiating a red glow, drawing beautiful arcs in the sky and performing a series of high-difficulty moves, spinning kicks, Thomas Flare, backflips, 360-degree side kicks, and so on. Sure enough, there really wasn't a single stagnation. Suddenly, Unit 01 threw the huge chakra sword in its hand, and a streak of blazing red hair hurtled straight towards the moon like a meteorite. This is going to cause a major incident. Sensing the power emanating from it, Uzumaki-san was about to intervene when. After all, Black Zetsu's mother lived here. If you destroyed her house and her mother escaped unharmed, Black Zetsu might be grateful, but, if something happened, Black Zetsu would definitely hide behind you and wipe out your entire clan. However, just as Uzumaki-san was about to act, whoosh! In an instant, the massive chakra sword returned to Unit 1's hand. Flying Thunder God, no. It's the Flying Thunder formation technique. Uzumaki-san stared in shock at the chakra sword in Unit 1's hand. You succeeded? Yes. Chiro nodded in satisfaction. The Flying Thunder formation technique you taught me last time, with Orochimaru's help, we've finally succeeded in researching it. Now, we can achieve temporary teleportation of objects using third-party chakra and by redrawing the Flying Thunder God seal. We've engraved it on the chakra sword. By leaving the Flying Thunder God seal on the target beforehand, objects indirectly in contact with the chakra can be instantly moved, thus preventing the weapon from being lost. I see. Uzumaki-san didn't know how to comment. Although the Flying Thunder God technique could indeed be activated even without the caster, was it a bit of a waste to use it just to prevent a weapon from being lost? He wanted the Gundam's instantaneous teleportation mode. He sighed helplessly. There was still a long way to go, but it was good enough to have taken the first step. As for the rest, he could take it slowly. Looks like I need to thank Minato sometime, Uzumaki soon muttered, stroking his chin. And while I'm at it, I'll have him continue researching the Flying Thunder God technique. The Flying Thunder formation technique was something Minato taught him before leaving, as a token of gratitude for his help when they were children. Otherwise, he was just a genius relying on the system. To research these things, he had no choice but to exchange for them. He looked up, continuing to watch the Gundam. Cough cough. Unit 01, still radiating intense red chakra, constantly moving at high speed. Ninjutsu, swordsmanship, taijutsu, each technique was demonstrated with a chakra. Seeing this, Uzumaki soon nodded in satisfaction. The power indeed surpassed that of an elite Chunin, reaching around the cage level. And the fluidity of the chakra flow truly didn't make it seem like a machine. This part was completed by Orochimaru. Chiro jumped out again, saying with emotion, he truly is a genius. I never expected that it was he who ultimately solved this huge problem. Otherwise, Unit 01 probably wouldn't be able to move so smoothly now. Uzumaki soon turned his head, looking at Orochimaru, who still seemed indifferent to everything, with a faint smile on his face, and nodded. He truly is a genius. Even in Boruto, he can still maintain his youthful appearance thanks to his technological abilities. In a sense, he can be considered a genius of immortality. But now, how will history unfold? Even Uzumaki soon himself was bewildered. After a moment's thought, a Rasengan suddenly appeared in his right hand. Now let me test its defense. The words had barely left his lips. Whoosh! Before they could react, the Rasengan was slammed into Unit 01, and then, boom! A loud explosion followed, and the dust settled. Unit 01 reappeared before them. Aside from the red chakra fading considerably, it was otherwise undamaged. A chakra cloak? Uzumaki soon stared at the faint layer of chakra on the surface, stunned, and said, I didn't expect you to have even made this. Like the fur covering a tailed beast, it's used to reduce damage. But, it seems the chakra depletion is quite severe. Really impressive, he exclaimed, it's already comparable to an old monkey. His own Rasengan had the power of a tailed beast ball, yet it was still blocked. Therefore, it seemed that even the strongest Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, could break through Unit 1's defense. He just wondered, how many hits could this Unit 01 withstand? This attack and defense power is comparable to that of a village chief from another village. Uzumaki soon returned to Kaianlo and the others. After we get back, write a report on the materials, costs, time, and pilot training for the Research Institute. If mass production is possible, the vast universe will eventually be conquered by the land of whirlpools. I will. Kaianlo nodded, glanced at the assistant recording data beside her, and then said, this month's funds? The more advanced the technology, the more funds are needed. Previously, 100 million taels of silver could last for several months or even a year, but now, it'll probably be gone in a little over a month. So, the landlord's family is out of money. Asking directly from the black-faced god won't get you any if the time isn't right, or if there's no product. I'll tell Kikuzu. Uzumaki soon smiled and nodded, saying, I'll have him allocate the funds to you as soon as possible. Recently, because the GDP has increased significantly, Kikuzu should, probably, allocate the funds. After all, although it doesn't make money yet, its development potential is still huge, and investing early is definitely the right thing to do. Chapter 2, that's all. Chapter 389 Enduring Trade. Ah, that feels so good. Jiraiya stretched out his arms, looking at the bustling street, and sighed inwardly. He was finally released. He'd been imprisoned for a year and a half, spending that time either reading or writing, not even allowed to make a phone call. Although he was provided with free food and drink, was he really the kind of person that Toad Sage was? Especially after Minato left, he was incredibly bored. I've decided. Jiraiya patted his empty pockets, a signature Toad smile appearing on his lips. First, I'll go find Haruko, then have Tsunade and Orochimaru come out to welcome me. There was no other way, the Toad Sage was truly broke. Later, he'd go to the chakra center to sell some chakra to earn some money, then spend another night at Haruko's villa. Money. Money. Jiraiya sighed helplessly, shaking his head. Looks like I'll have to find a new job again. After all, he'd already been fired. Jiraiya felt a sudden pang of desolation. So what if he was a con man? He'd dedicated so many years to the education of the land of whirlpools, sweating and toiling away, and yet he was fired and added to the blacklist. What was he going to do now? He'd heard Obito say that blacklisted people had a very difficult time finding work, maybe even, they couldn't find any at all. Jiraiya touched the book lying quietly in his arms. If he couldn't find work, this was his capital for a comeback. Today you ignore me, tomorrow you'll be begging for my attention. One of the legendary Sannin of Konoha, the Toad Sage of Mount Myaboku, Jiraiya, would succeed sooner or later. Gulp for now, he'd better go find Haruko and get a meal. Even a Toad Sage gets hungry. Late spring of Konoha 47, Crimson 19. To deepen relations between the allied nations and continue building trust with the 16 allied nations is currently the top priority for the Land of Whirlpools. Therefore, under the leadership of the Land of Whirlpools, the Ninja World Trade Organization was formally established with the 16 allied nations in the new city of Whirlpools. This is a trade organization covering the entire ninja world, officially commencing operations on May 1st. The organization is responsible for managing the economic and trade order of the ninja world, with its headquarters located in the new city of Whirlpools. Anyone, regardless of whether they are a member of the allied nations, can join. The organization's basic principles are to achieve the goal of liberalizing ninja world trade through the implementation of principles such as market openness, non-discrimination, and fair trade, thereby improving the living standards of the ninja world's people, ensuring full employment, and significantly and steadily increasing real income and effective demand. Simultaneously, it pursues sustainable development strategies, promoting the optimal utilization of world resources and protecting and maintaining the environment. For a time, apart from the allied nations joining under the harmonious persuasion of the Land of Whirlpools, the other nations that still maintained the ninja village model refused to join. After all, they were just ninjas, and basically didn't care about matters of production and trade. Even if they didn't join, what could you do to them? Therefore, all the countries following the ninja village model publicly declared their refusal to join, essentially saying, those who walk different paths cannot make plans together. Just when they thought the Land of Whirlpools would be enraged, the Land of Whirlpools ignored them and instead held its first trade conference in its new city, revising tariffs and the exchange rate between Whirlpool gold and silver. Furthermore, to promote the economic development of each country, the Land of Whirlpools would establish a World Bank within each nation, lowering loan interest rates to support economic recovery and improvement. Simultaneously, for countries facing hardship and poor land, aid would be provided in lieu of Whirlpool gold, including food, clothing, and medicine. Immediately, the countries praised the Land of Whirlpool's benevolence, offering both monetary and material assistance to prevent their citizens from starving or freezing. They were also grateful that the Land of Whirlpools would establish factories in their countries, providing jobs. It could be said that this series of combined measures, while the economies of various countries did recover considerably, their dependence on the Land of Whirlpools became even more severe. As for the ninja villages, the Land of Whirlpools and its allies jointly raised tariffs on ninja villages, while also increasing the price of goods exported to them by 10%, thus restricting their trade activities. Just as Konoha realized what was happening and wanted to do something, they discovered there was nothing they could do. Their goods weren't as good, their prices weren't as favorable, their productivity wasn't as high. What could they possibly do? So, even with the 5 great ninja villages suppressing them, when some nobles saw their official merchant caravans' profits plummet, they instigated their own daimyo to quickly join the ninja trade, vowing that this wasn't betrayal of their organization, that they would never reform, and that joining the ninja trade was merely to earn money from their enemies, increase national tax revenue, and improve the living standards of their citizens. And then, nothing happened. Sometimes changing a decision only requires an excuse, regardless of how that excuse came about, as long as it's suitable. In a short time, many people in the country that the 5 great ninja villages had jointly suppressed began to submit applications to the Ninja Trade Organization, voluntarily joining. The Land of Bears? Uzumaki-jun looked at the submitted documents, nodded, and said, they're begging the Land of Whirlpools to send troops to help them with their revolution? Yes. Uzumaki Hibiki nodded and said, A ninja from the Star Village secretly ran over and collapsed on the coast, and was then discovered by Chief Fugaku, who was on patrol. I heard she was a woman, and quite pretty at that. Tisk tisk. Now she's even clinging to the Uchiha clan. It seems their third Hashikage was ambushed and killed by a ninja from the hidden ninja village. Currently, Ekahoshi is acting as Hashikage, and it's rumored that Ekahoshi was the one who ambushed the third Hashikage. Uzumaki Hibiki flipped through the report submitted by Fugaku and shook his head helplessly. This matter was indeed quite complicated. The Hashikage who came to the land of whirlpools is named Natsumi. She claims that she is willing to offer the Hashikage village's secret treasure, the meteorite, as payment, hoping that we can send troops to help them quell the internal strife. And after quelling the strife, she will lead the entire land of bears to join the allied powers. Is that so? Uzumaki-jun nodded knowingly and said, what does the military think? He knew about the situation of the Hashikage village. It was a ninja village built on a meteorite that fell from the sky. However, the third Hashikage later discovered the drawbacks. It was estimated that too much radiation exposure caused deformities in newborns in the village and significantly reduced their lifespans. He decided to seal the meteorite and restrict its use. However, the meteorite is the lifeblood of Hashigakure. If it's no longer used, the village's strength will definitely decline, especially for some ambitious individuals whose thirst for power surpasses even death. Therefore, without a reasonable transformation plan, internal strife is inevitable. Especially for a ninja village, which is essentially equivalent to a nation's military strength, such a significant weakening, even the daimyo of Kuma country would be unhappy. The military agrees, Hibiki Uzumaki said, adjusting her glasses. They believe this will set an example for other ninja villages, making it easier for Uzumaki to liberate other ninja villages in the future. That's a good idea, Jun Uzumaki nodded with a smile. Good propaganda creates a positive image. He said, follow the military's plan, and simultaneously divide the forces into 3 groups. Uzumaki and Natashiko village have also requested assistance from Uzumaki. The cults within Uzumaki have created widespread fear and panic, rendering the country practically defunct. Those controlling the government are a group of cult members. Therefore, the clan chief suggested to Miyajaman that they take it over directly, bringing hope to the people of the land of hot springs, and incidentally, incorporate it into the land of whirlpools. As for Natashiko Ninja Village, they are just a ninja village living in a remote mountain, without a country, so they want to seek refuge in the soon-to-be chaotic ninja world, and incidentally, come for a matchmaking event. Chapter 1. Chapter 390 Those Things. Shisune, don't you have class today? Red-haired Itachi stared wide-eyed at the short-haired boy with an adorable expression, asking expectantly, can you teach me some ninjutsu? Oh, it's Itachi. Shisu looked at the red-haired boy, who was about 4 or 5 years old, and nodded with a smile, saying, of course you can. Later, I'm going to learn Uchiha throwing techniques too, you can come with me. Okay. Hearing Shisu's agreement, Itachi said happily, that's great. Shisune is so amazing, even my mom wants me to learn with you. And Mikado. Shisu ruffled Itachi's hair and said with a smile, Itachi will definitely be even more amazing than me in the future. After all, he's the child of Uncle Soon, the #1 ninja in the world. Looking at that hair that was different from the Uchiha, although he had also awakened his Sharingan, Itachi had awakened it earlier than him. 2 years earlier. I don't even know where Dad went, Itachi said helplessly, spreading his hands. Mom has to go to class again, so I can only stay with Grandpa and Grandma, but they don't know Uchiha-style ninjutsu or taijutsu. As for sealing techniques, he's still a bit too young, and learning them too early would harm his body, so Grandpa and Grandma won't let him learn them. Uncle Soon is the daimyo of Uzumaki. Shisu ruffled Itachi's red hair and said with a smile, he must have a lot to do. Itachi, don't complain. Later, I'll call Obito over. Although Obito is always forgetful, his taijutsu and ninjutsu are quite good. Especially now that he's awakened to Tomo Sharingan, he's even stronger. No complaints. Itachi shook his head, a childlike smile on his face, and said, I know Dad is very busy, and I'll definitely help him when I grow up. Besides, Dad comes home every night to keep him company. Sometimes during holidays, he even teaches him ninjutsu, but Dad's explanations are too complicated, he just can't understand them at all. He just doesn't understand why Mom always teases Dad about his poor foundation. How did he even learn ninjutsu? It's really baffling. Let's go. Shisu said, holding Itachi's little hand. Let's go to the back mountain and wait there. That's where Madara taught Obito and Uncle Violet. Many geniuses grew stronger there. Yes, Itachi's heard of it. Itachi said with a childlike smile. Mom always talks about Madara, saying that although he always has a stern face and loves to scold and hurt people, but Madara actually really likes children. Yes, Shisu said with longing in his eyes. There's a statue of Madara in the central playground of the academy, so cool. After all, Madara rode the strongest tailed beast, the Nine Tails. Moreover, the academy's list of notable figures also mentions Madara. He was evenly matched with a god of shinobi, petting tailed beasts with one hand like a cat, and then, with a squinting glance, all the tailed beasts would wag their tails and stick out their tongues like dogs, grinning happily. He founded Konoha, the strongest ninja village before, and in his old age, he retired without vying for power, dedicating his life to the peace of the ninja world. In his later years, he came to the land of whirlpools to educate the next generation, intending to pass on hope. Madara is as great as Uncle soon. I really want to see Madara in person, the legendary strongman of the Uchiha clan. Me too. Itachi nodded and said, there's a box left by Madara at home. My mother said it was left to me by Madara, and he would give it to me after I become a ninja. You don't even know what's inside? Maybe it's Madara's ninjutsu? Shisu smiled, then changed to a serious tone and said, also, Itachi, don't tell anyone about this. Perhaps nothing will happen in the land of whirlpools, but if ninjas from other villages hear that a child possesses a legendary ninja treasure, they'll definitely try to steal it. They won't care who's behind him. Yeah, I know, Itachi said earnestly. Mom told me too, but it'll be fine if it's Shisuni. By the way, when is Obito coming? I don't know, he might be a little late. Shisu shook his head, his little face showing helplessness. After all, Obito is just too lazy. Achoo, achoo. Obito rubbed his nose, frowned, and muttered, could it be that kid Shisu? He was off today, and he had promised Shisu he'd train with him in ninjutsu, but Obito looked at the textile factory in front of him, straightening his clothes. He might be late. Finally, a break. Seeing the previously tightly closed gates suddenly open, Obito quickly perked up, focused his attention on the slowly opening door, and walked towards one of the beautiful women with long black hair, carrying 2 bags, dog food. Rin. Huh? Nahua Rin smiled as she looked at the approaching black-haired youth. It's Obito. She glanced at what Obito was holding, a hint of surprise in her eyes. Is this for Nimaru? Yes. Obito held up the dog food, looked away, and said apologetically, I figured you wouldn't have time to buy it yourself, and since the Konoha caravan came to the land of whirlpools, they had a Uzumaki Clan special dog food, so I just bought 2 bags. Thank you so much. Nahua Rin covered her mouth and laughed when she saw Obito's expression. If it weren't for you, I might have had to wait until my vacation to buy it. Because of Tsunade, she and Shizune had already paid their ransom. So, their current status was that of migrant workers. They were no longer restricted by the land of whirlpools, and they even had money for their work. Although they had thought about returning to Konoha, Tsunade had stopped them, allowing them to stay in the land of whirlpools to study medical ninjutsu under her guidance. They worked in the mornings and attended classes at the academy in the afternoons and evenings. But, she wondered how Minato-sensei was doing back in Konoha. She heard that Minato-sensei had become the 4th Hokage. Nahua Rin believed in her heart that under Minato-sensei's leadership, Konoha would definitely change, becoming even better than the land of whirlpools. Rin, you want to? Obito looked at the bento box Rin was carrying in her right hand, hesitated for a moment, and asked, do you need help? Slap. Obito covered his face, wondering what he was saying. Oh, this. Nahua Rin said with a smile, picking up the bento box. It's for Kakashi. Because no one helped Kakashi pay his ransom, he's still serving in the military. How pitiful. Kakashi. Obito looked up at a 45-degree angle, his eyes unconsciously welling up with tears. He wanted to hit someone. Especially that guy named Kakashi. Although he only awakened his 2-tomo Sharingan after seeing that brat from Konoha getting so close to Nahua Rin last time, he wanted to hit someone even more than the Sharingan. This time, he was even angrier than last time, and Obito felt like he could awaken the legendary Mangekyo Sharingan. Obito, what's wrong? Nahua Rin asked, noticing Obito's expression. Why are your eyes red? It looked like he was about to cry. It's nothing. Obito touched the corner of his eye, then smiled happily again, saying, I suddenly got some sand in my eye. Really? Rin Nahara was taken aback by Obito's words, then put on a serious expression and snapped, look down. Startled, Obito unconsciously lowered his head. Phew. Rin Nahara cupped Obito's face, slowly moved closer, and gently blew on it. Okay, that'll feel better. Swish. Obito blushed. Obito quickly handed her a movie ticket, saying, there's a movie next weekend, Rin, are you free? Rin is such a kind person. She actually cupped his face and blew on his eyes. Obito decided he wouldn't wash his face for a week. Next weekend? Rin curiously took the ticket, glanced at it, and murmured, Anohana, the flower we saw that day. What a strange name. She smiled and nodded. Okay. Swish. This. Obito clutched his chest, his face turning even redder. He felt like today was his lucky day. Then, see you next week. His heart was pounding, his mind raced, and he quickly turned and ran. I have something to do. Wait a minute. Rin opened her mouth, about to say something, but Obito's figure had already disappeared from sight. She said helplessly, I was just about to ask why your face was so red, were you sick? You ran so fast? He looked down at the tickets in his hand. Sigh, I wonder if the team leader will grant me leave next week? And what about Lady Tsunade? She won't be angry, will she? A smile unconsciously appeared on his lips. Obito is such a good person. Last week when it rained, it was Obito who helped save Mudmaru in the end. Otherwise, Mudmaru, such a small dog, was lost from his mother, alone on the mountain, injured. It would have been very dangerous. He put down the tickets and looked at the bento in his right hand. I still need to bring the bento Shizune made to Kakashi. Otherwise, Shizune would complain to her again after get off work. Chapter 2, that's all. Chapter 391 Street Vending. This land of hot springs. A Uzumaki ninja frowned, looking around. I remember the land of hot springs being a relatively peaceful country, living in seclusion for years and never participating in any wars. How did it become like this? The surroundings were desolate and deserted, and the Uzumaki ninja squatted down, touching the slightly charred soil. Explosive tags? HMPH. Zemu frowned, looking at the soil on the ninja's hand. It seems a war has just broken out here. That rumored cult was so powerful, capable of destroying the land of hot springs? Let's go check out Hot Spring Village. He had been to Hot Spring Village before, a relatively peaceful ninja village. The villagers valued peace, had abundant natural resources, and many hot springs. It was a great place to relax and soak in the hot springs. Hot Spring Village? The Uzumaki ninja nodded. It's truly incredible to have a village that has forgotten war. To remain uninvolved even in a chaotic world, Hot Spring Village must have some tricks up its sleeve. After all, war isn't something you can just refuse to participate in. But now, what exactly happened? However, smack. Zemu suddenly slapped Nagato hard behind him as he yawned, saying with exasperation, cheer up, Nagato. He knew that Prince Sun had decided that Nagato would succeed him or Zemu as the person in charge of the army, yet he still looked so lazy. How could he command respect then? I know, Captain Zemu. Nagato rubbed his head, saying helplessly, I'm not sleepy, I'm just a little bored. Seriously. Yohiko and Konan aren't around. He's pretty bored by himself. I promise it won't get in the way. You kid. Zemu sighed helplessly and said, you need to work harder. He shook his head and didn't say anything more. They would retire sooner or later, and the generation that had grown up now would take their place. Yohiko, Konan, Yoru, Miyagi-en, Shiki, Uchihake, Kokoro, and Uzumaki Nagato. In a way, he represented the face of the Uzumaki clan. Yet he always looked so lazy. Although Zemu knew Nagato was strong, as a soldier of the land of whirlpools, spirit and morale were indispensable. When you get back, copy the military regulations 10 times to boost your spirits. Otherwise, if he's always like this, who'll respect him? Upon hearing Captain Zemu's words, Nagato immediately perked up and said in surprise, huh? No way. Copying military regulations is tiring, and I'm already energized. Nagato stood tall and was about to say something when he was met with a sharp look from Zemu. He sighed inwardly. It's just 10 times, right? I can just use shadow clone jutsu. When we go back, I'll seal your chakra with a sealing technique. However, when Zimu saw Nagato's expression, he knew what Nagato was thinking and said calmly, if I find out you're cheating, it won't be 10 times. You really want to copy? Nagato shrugged and said irritably, I'll copy. Fine, I'll copy. Then I just need to secretly borrow some carbon paper from Conan, fold it 9 times, and copy it all at once. Who would notice if it was so discreet? The land of whirlpools. East, west, south, north, the invincible Sannin of the entire world, the white-haired boy, the toad sage. Jiraiya struck a cool pose while snap. He summoned Gamamaru and stood on it. The handsome guy who can shut up crying children. I am Jiraiya. However, before he could finish speaking, bang! Gamamaru disappeared, almost causing Jiraiya to fall flat on his face. He quickly steadied himself, cursing Gamamaru inwardly. He had already said the toad didn't need the injection, so why wouldn't it come out? But Jiraiya still struck his signature pose, looking at the long-haired female ninja in front of him, wearing a headband he had never seen before, and suddenly understood. It seems she's not a whirlpool ninja. This street belongs to one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha. Jiraiya shouted loudly, the toad sage. He had only slept a little late to set up his stall today, so why was his stall already taken? This spot was one he'd searched for ages to find. It was right at the intersection of 4 roads, a wide, high-traffic area, perfect for a street performance. Thinking of this, Jiraiya felt a wave of sadness wash over him. He, a legendary Sannin of Konoha, a descendant of Mount Myaboku, the renowned toad sage, had been reduced to street performing. Get out of here. Jiraiya's sharp eyes darted to the rather glaring headlights. Cough cough. Wait, what was he thinking? He was starving. Why was he looking around like that? This toad sage will let you off this time. However, you're here to challenge too? The long-haired woman frowned at Jiraiya, saying, you look timid and have lecherous eyes. You're clearly not a good person. But according to village rules, I'll give you a chance today. HMPH. Although the land of whirlpools couldn't kill innocent people, but a serious injury shouldn't be a problem, right? Those eyes were just too annoying. He immediately rushed forward, shouting, Natasiko Ryu, Todoroki spinning kick. Bang! Jiraiya quickly raised his hand to block, but seeing the female ninja still charging at him, he took a step back, annoyed, and said, hey, what are you doing? She took his spot and even started hitting him? Had she forgotten his title as one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha just because he hadn't appeared for so long? If you keep messing around, I won't be polite. You know, when he gets angry, he'll even hide a female ninja. But I didn't realize you sleazy guy, were actually quite capable. The female ninja completely ignored what Jiraiya said. Seeing him block her Natashiko Ryu technique, she frowned and said, but you can't defeat me just like that. Natashiko Ryu, raging wave fist. She charged forward again. The people around them found this scene amusing and unconsciously stopped to watch quietly, occasionally shouting loudly. Good. Good. Amazing. The atmosphere around them gradually became lively. And this idiot. Not far away, a pale-faced, somewhat effeminate young man with long, straight black hair looked at the white-haired, spiky-haired youth dodging in the middle, helplessly covering his face, and said, is this what he called his job? Ha ha ha. The short, somewhat handsome young man next to him smiled awkwardly and said, I didn't know Jiraiya did this kind of, how should I put it? A few days ago, I heard Jiraiya say that he had started his own business and become his own boss, so today I specially invited Orochimaru and Tsunade to come and support Jiraiya's business. But, what the hell? Glancing at Tsunade, who was frowning at Jiraiya, I hesitated for a moment and cautiously asked, should we stop them? If I'm not mistaken, this female ninja in front of me should be the ninja from Natashiko village mentioned in the notice that came down a few days ago. That ninja village, if Jiraiya wins, he'll be in danger. He'll definitely be killed by Tsunade. Tisk tisk. Orochimaru also glanced at Tsunade, gave a strange smile, and said, I don't know about that. His old friend is doomed. After all, if this continues, Jiraiya will definitely win. I wonder if Jiraiya has earned enough money these past few days to see a doctor? However, if I remember correctly, Tsunade's eyes flickered as she looked at Jiraiya in the middle, stroking her chin, and said with ill intent, The Land of Whirlpools has explicit regulations against street vending, and any report that is verified will be rewarded. And this road? Tsunade looked around. It should be one of those explicitly prohibited roads. This. Hearing Tsunade's words, Haruko and Orochimaru gasped, then exchanged a glance and said cautiously, "This isn't a good idea. Jiraiya had only been released a few days ago, and if you were to be, and find. What a ruthless woman. But seeing Tsunade's look of if you won't hit me, I'll hit you, after that, I'll hit you again." Haruko quickly took out his phone and dialed the relevant department. This matter had nothing to do with him or Orochimaru. Let Jiraiya handle it himself. Chapter 1. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 392 Justice. According to the Market Supervision and Management Regulations of the Land of Whirlpools, any street vending is illegal. I'll confiscate your goods. Since this is your first offense, I won't fine you. But remember, if you want to set up a stall, go to the designated area. If you get caught again, you'll be punished and fined. Yes, yes. Jiraiya quickly nodded, gratefully saying to the uniformed youth in front of him, thank you, I definitely won't do it again next time. Then, he quickly walked out. He was actually quite panicked. After all, Minato wasn't here, and getting caught alone would be rather boring, and Jiraiya touched his chest pocket and muttered, looks like I'll have to find another way to make money. He'd only earned money for a few days, and he almost got caught. He stretched and walked helplessly to the door. HMPH. Looking at the long-haired black-haired female ninja standing by the door, he snorted coldly and said, this Toad Sage will forgive you this time, but don't mess around next time. Otherwise. This Toad Sage's strength is no joke. He really hits women. However, you win. The female ninja calmly looked at Jiraiya and said, one day I will defeat you and make you my son-in-law. She hadn't expected this white-haired, lecherous man to be so powerful. The female ninja looked at Jiraiya more seriously, and a thought suddenly popped into her mind. He's actually kind of handsome. She quickly shook her head, banishing these wild thoughts. You just wait. She will defeat this lecherous man sooner or later. Then, without turning back, he left Jiraiya completely bewildered. Hey, what did you say? Jiraiya snapped out of his daze and quickly asked, what do you mean by marrying into the family? Wait a minute. This Toad Sage is a wanderer of the ninja world. Taking advantage is fine, but he won't actually stay. Although I was staring at your, cough, I stole a few glances and took advantage, but before he could finish speaking, he was about to rush over and ask what was going on. Take advantage of what? A familiar voice suddenly came from behind, making Jiraiya freeze. He turned around with difficulty, giving an awkward smile. It's Tsunade. He then glared fiercely at Orochimaru and Hiruzen, who were staring at the sky behind Tsunade. I didn't take advantage of anything. Slap. Jiraiya slapped his mouth hard. What kind of talk was that? He opened his mouth, about to explain something, when. Alright, Tsunade said impatiently, we all know. If you want to marry into the family, hurry up and go after her. No. Upon hearing Tsunade's words, Jiraiya quickly put on a gentlemanly expression and said seriously, He glanced at Tsunade. How can I, the Toad Sage Jiraiya, let romantic feelings stop my wandering ways? He is the dream of countless girls in the ninja world. If he gets married, the girls of the ninja world will definitely be heartbroken. It's just that his heart is a little sore right now. Sigh. Haru sighed and glanced at Orochimaru beside him. When will Jiraiya have a chance? No chance. Orochimaru returned a glance indifferently. There will never be a chance. One is a coward when it comes to love, and the other is even more cowardly. Unless there are special circumstances, it seems that Jiraiya will never be able to be with Tsunade. However, what are you doing? Tsunade frowned, staring at Haruko and Orochimaru behind her, and said irritably, what are you sighing about? It makes me want to punch someone. She raised her fist. I suddenly remembered that I have something important to do at the research institute. Haruko's expression changed, and she quickly said, I've been out for a while, and I have to go back now. Without looking back, she turned and ran. As for Orochimaru, he smiled slightly, said nothing, and also turned around and slowly left. It was that subtle look in his eyes that Jiraiya understood. Truly worthy of being one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha. Jiraiya thought to himself, feeling touched. Then, with a sheepish grin, he approached and said, I really didn't do anything. He had just set up his stall when he found someone had taken his spot, and then he was inexplicably dragged here. What kind of situation was this? Jiraiya suddenly felt that he had been incredibly unlucky these past few years. I know. Tsunade said, a hint of impatience in her voice as she looked at Jiraiya. Haruko and I were just watching from the sidelines. I was the one who reported him. The reward, the Vajra, was pretty generous, enough for a nice meal out tonight. Huh? Jiraiya was taken aback. You all know. Yes. Tsunade rolled her eyes and said casually, what do you want? Nothing. Seeing that Tsunade wasn't going to hide him, Jiraiya breathed a sigh of relief and said, I just made some money recently and wanted to treat you to a meal. But since Haruko and the others are busy, I can only go with you now. Really nothing. Okay. Tsunade nodded and said, Four Tails hot pot, I was just thinking of having hot pot. As soon as she finished speaking, she saw Jiraiya's suddenly changed expression and his right hand touching his chest. What's wrong? Jiraiya wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and looked away, saying, Nothing, it's just that it's almost summer now, it's a bit hot, not suitable for hot pot. He had enough money on him. It's okay, it's air-conditioned inside, it won't be hot, Tsunade said casually, let's go, otherwise there won't be any seats later. Then, she grabbed Jiraiya's head and strode boldly towards the hot pot restaurant. Jiraiya, feeling the fullness rising in his head, his eyes suddenly glazed over. Even if he had to wash dishes for 5 days straight, plus sweeping, this toad sage was determined to eat this meal. Hot Spring Village. Zimu murmured, looking at the hot spring village before him, it seems the situation is even more serious than Lord Sun and the others said. The hot spring village before him, no longer had its usual tranquil and comfortable feel. This scene, was a desolate ruin, not a single intact building in sight. Hot Spring Village, is it destroyed? Captain Zimu. Nagato suddenly frowned, looking in the distance, and said, I sense someone over there. Perhaps the Hot Spring Village? Over there. Zimu frowned, looking and shouted, everyone on alert. Let's go. Let's go see. He wanted to see what had happened in the land of hot springs. And, if it really was destroyed, then, that wouldn't be bad. You must know he carries the secret orders from Prince Sun and the clan chief. The land of hot water. Zimu's eyes narrowed involuntarily. If successful, it would alleviate the population pressure in the country. The land of whirlpools has come to save the land of hot water, liberate its people from their suffering, and lead them towards a better life. Chapter 2, that's all. Chapter 393 The Land of Hot Springs. In the late summer of Konoha year 47, the 19th year of the Crimson Era, the Land of Whirlpools launched an invasion of the Land of Hot Springs, drawing condemnation and scorn from the ninja villages, led by Konoha. They also expressed dissatisfaction with the Land of Whirlpools' occupation of the Land of Hot Springs territory, believing that the Land of Whirlpools was the root of chaos in the ninja world. It was precisely because of these countries that did not follow the rules and acted recklessly that the ninja world had been in constant turmoil. The hope was that the Land of Whirlpools would return the territory of the Land of Hot Springs, dissolve the Red Alliance, and place the Ninja Trade Organization under the joint supervision of the 5 great ninja villages, restoring peace to the entire ninja world. However, faced with the joint condemnation of the 5 great ninja villages, the Land of Whirlpools remained calm and ignored it. Suddenly, the Ninja Village Alliance became arrogant, with numerous countries and villages jumping out to condemn and criticize the Land of Whirlpools, even blaming the Land of Whirlpools for their own country's poverty and chaos. For a time, the ninja world was in an uproar, demanding that the Land of Whirlpools compensate for their country's losses and destroy all their technology, especially scientific ninja tools, arguing that ninjas were the mainstream of the ninja world, and these ninja tools, usable by ordinary people, would bring disaster. While the argument raged, nothing else was done. They simply remained quietly in their own ninja villages, condemning the Land of Whirlpools. However, this public opinion did have some effect, especially with so many countries and ninja villages jumping out together. Most of the ordinary people, previously kept in the dark, also began to secretly curse the Land of Whirlpools. So, that very evening, The news channel of the Land of Whirlpools broadcast the progress of the Whirlpool Ninja in the Land of Hot Springs. When everyone saw the situation in the Land of Hot Springs, a desolate wasteland, ruins, deserted, and the survivors were emaciated, their eyes filled with confusion and helplessness, everyone realized something was wrong, especially after the news reporters from the Land of Whirlpools interviewed several people in the Land of Hot Springs. Suddenly, a huge wave swept through the peaceful ninja world. Ignoring production, abusing power, and murdering parents, brothers, and children, the word cult terrified all the people of the ninja world. People who were once good had lost themselves under the proselytizing of a cult. Watching the news channel of the Land of Whirlpools explain and analyze the characteristics and common methods of cults, and what to do if you encounter one, everyone felt grateful, and strongly demanded that the country eliminate cult members within its borders, while condemning certain nobles who acted as protectors of cults. For a time, the nightly news broadcast of the Land of Whirlpools became a must-watch program for the people of the ninja world. Listening to tales of the superiority of communism and the happy lives of the people in the communist allied nations, then hearing about how the ninja villages oppressed and deceived their people, treating ordinary lives like dirt, everyone felt a sudden itch to join in, inwardly sighing how much better things were abroad. We must ban the distribution of Uzumaki television in all the ninja villages, Hirozen Sarutobi said, taking a drag of his cigarette and quietly looking at the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Otherwise, if this continues, the entire ninja world will descend into chaos. Especially the ninja village nations, their domestic economies were already weak, and this comparison made things even worse. Hirozen Sarutobi sighed inwardly. Minato. I know what you're thinking, but... His gaze was fixed intently on Minato. Konoha has a long and rich history. Over the years, it has been proven that only Lord Hashirame's methods can achieve peace in the ninja world. Since the emergence of the Red Movement in the Land of Whirlpools, look! He stood up, his face filled with sorrow and helplessness. How chaotic the ninja world is now. Therefore, I have always believed that Lord Hashirame's ideals are correct. Hirozen Sarutobi took a drag of his cigarette, gazing at the still calm Konoha. Only when everyone contributes a little love will the ninja world achieve true peace. Jiraiya was truly confused. Did he realize that Minato was no longer a suitable successor to the Will of Fire? He actually recommended Minato as the fourth Hokage? This is going to destroy Konoha. But now, the die is cast. Fortunately, he stepped down to become a senior advisor, and since the senior advisors were all his comrades, under their protection, Konoha hadn't yet descended into chaos. I understand. Minato nodded calmly and said, I will issue the orders as you command. His heart was filled with helplessness. No matter what he said or did, the third Hokage wouldn't approve, nor would those high-ranking advisors. Minato realized he was nothing but a puppet. He couldn't even command the Hokage's personal forces. Thinking of this, his heart filled with bitterness. I will deliver this order to Advisor Kaoru in the Hokage's name shortly. He kept reminding himself not to act impulsively. He knew there were still ninth-rank officials here. A fleeting tenderness crossed Minato's eyes as he clenched his fists. Now was not the time. Wait a little longer, wait a little longer. Because he absolutely could not fail, the Land of Whirlpools. Everyone, pay attention. Work hard. Senju Hideaki shouted through a megaphone, remember to wear your hard hats. Our main task tomorrow is building the bridge. The bridge to the Land of Hot Springs. Looking at his anxious co-workers. This bridge must be completed as soon as possible, with high quality and quantity. In the future, it will connect the two small islands. It's extremely important. Senju Hideaki mentally calculated the dates. Winter was only a few months away, and time was running out. But this was a major project. He'd heard that the higher-ups had already started mobilizing workers to help, and the wages for this project would be doubled. The sooner it was finished, the higher the pay. So, other teams will come over after work starts tomorrow. Senju Hideaki looked around at his team and said, I don't want to see my team dragging us down and getting punished. If the higher-ups scold me, I'll beat you up. Then, with a slight smile. Of course, if you do a good job, there will be rewards. I'll personally put in some extra money to treat everyone to a grilled fish restaurant. As soon as he finished speaking, the people below got excited. Great. Captain Hideaki is so generous. Yes, we promise we won't let you down. Let them see how powerful the Hideaki construction team is. Haha. Alright. Senju Hideaki smiled, shook his head helplessly, and said, "Now it's time to go home. Everyone go back and prepare. Tomorrow will be very tiring." So many years have passed. He has long been used to being a foreman. A slight smile appeared on his lips, revealing a sense of relief and nostalgia. "Perhaps I've long forgotten about being a ninja. Just like the legendary Uchiha Madara. Letting go of attachments and hatred, living a peaceful life." Watching his fellow workers leave one after another, Senju Hideaki murmured, "This feeling. It's not bad." He no longer cared about the clan's affairs. After the children graduated, he would let them choose what they wanted to do. Lady Tsune didn't say anything about this, and even gradually stopped caring about the Senju clan's affairs, always fishing at the Uzumaki medical school. Senju Hideaki felt helpless. What would happen if the clan leader found out that his excellent daughter had become a slacker and didn't want to get married? Chapter 1. Chapter 394. Save me. I didn't expect you to be sent here. Zimu smiled as he looked at the person from the land of whirlpools. All right then, the land of hot springs will be yours from now on. These recent tedious matters had been making him quite annoyed. Appeasing the refugees of the land of hot springs, managing the ninjas, and being wary of the cults hiding within. There was so much to do. Especially now that the land of hot springs was in such a chaotic state, with everyone filled with fear. Fear, dread, and death had been hanging over the country. Suddenly seeing so many ninjas from other countries appear, let alone a group of civilians who had suffered so much, even ninjas who had experienced war would probably be terrified. Nothing much happened back home, so they arranged for me to come here, Hibiki Uzumaki said with a smile. How's the situation here? The cults in the land of hot springs have been mostly wiped out, Zimu said, spreading his hands, looking exhausted. This period has been exhausting, but... His expression turned serious. I've discovered that this cult is far from simple. What is it? Hibiki asked, frowning, as if she had caught on to Zimu's words. What did you find? Strange symbols. Zimu pulled out several drawings from his pocket and said earnestly, look at this 7-pointed star, and these. They look like magic circles. Perhaps it's just a special symbol of a cult? Hibiki Uzumaki looked at the pattern, pondered for a moment, and said, it doesn't serve any other purpose. It's just used in a prayer ritual. It's still unknown. Zimu shook his head and said, I'll carefully check if I can find any useful clues during the subsequent cleanup. After thinking for a moment, I've copied down all the patterns. I'll give them to Prince Soon later. Perhaps Prince Soon will want to know something? After all, that's Prince Soon. Okay. Hibiki Uzumaki nodded and said, give a copy to the Research Institute as well. Your concerns are valid. A mysterious organization that suddenly appears here might not be as simple as we think on the surface. It wouldn't hurt to study it first. Now that you're here, I can relax a bit. Zimu rubbed his forehead, a smile on his face, and said, I won't worry about the rest. Letting that cult stay here for too long has been unsettling. Let's get rid of them all as soon as possible. Go ahead and do your work. Hibiki Uzumaki opened her memo, nodded, and said, the higher-ups have sent a group of moral education teachers over. I believe things will return to normal soon. Especially since this group consists of professionals. With ample food and stable jobs, she was sure these refugees would behave. All right. Zimu nodded and smiled. I've sealed the chakra of the surviving ninja. Be careful, nothing should happen. Besides, there are only so many people left. Even if their chakra wasn't sealed, it wouldn't matter. After all, the land of whirlpools would station troops here. The only thing to worry about now is this suddenly appearing organization. How come nothing has been discovered in all these years? What exactly is going on? Zimu Uzumaki was filled with unease. She hoped that Prince Soon knew something. Achoo! Soon Uzumaki rubbed his nose, looking at the drizzling scenery around him, especially the group of emaciated, dazed-eyed poor people, who seemed to be used to the drizzle, like walking corpses. He sighed inwardly, feeling helpless. So many years have passed, and the land of rain is still the same. Yes. An old man with a somewhat aged face nodded, his eyes cloudy and filled with regret as he looked at the scene before him. He said, if I had been a little more ruthless back then, perhaps the situation would be better now. If only. The old man sighed inwardly, shook his head, and quietly looked at the scenery before him in the light drizzle. So, Uzumaki-jun rolled his eyes upon hearing the old man's words and said indifferently, why did you summon me to the land of rain? a demigod of the ninja world. His eyes suddenly sharpened as he stared at the old man before him. Hanzo the Salamander. He had sent a ninja to deliver a message for no reason, saying that a demigod of the ninja world wanted to see him. If he hadn't been bored and thought about the rich mineral resources of the Land of Rain, he wouldn't have come. There's a lot of steel needed for bridge construction in the country these days, and he also ordered Kyanlo to research the technology related to sea trains, to see if it's possible to build a sea train between the Land of Whirlpools and the Land of Hot Springs. He understands the principle of building roads first to get rich, and the Land of Hot Springs and the Land of Whirlpools are quite far apart. If transportation is inconvenient, then what's the point of taking over the Land of Hot Springs? So, there's a shortage of iron ore. Don't worry. Hanzo of the Salamander shook his head, his gaze calm as he said, I have no ill intentions. As soon as he finished speaking, a bitter smile appeared on his face. Even if I really had ill intentions, there's nothing I can do to you. The newly crowned god of shinobi. The daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools. Looking at the excessively young Uzumaki-jun in front of him. Sure enough, he did become the god of shinobi in the end. Back then, when they saw the youngest Kage, everyone knew that this kid would definitely dominate the shinobi world in the future, but they didn't expect, so fast. So fast that no one could react. Now, at his peak, who in the shinobi world can be his opponent? What do you think of the Land of Rain now? Chaos. Uzumaki soon pondered for a moment, then said, it's even more chaotic than before. He sighed. The people are practically living in misery. Yes. Hanzo of the Salamander nodded, saying with a sigh, back then, for immediate gains, we gathered all the people together for training, intending to become the sixth great nation, the sixth great ninja village. But we never expected. The Land of Rain simply couldn't afford to wait. His face showed regret. With a perennial rainy season, the country already suffers from food shortages, and on top of that, there's the never-ending war. Hanzo glanced at the three great nations with hatred in his eyes. The Land of Rain borders the three great nations, already struggling to survive, yet no one cares. For their own interests, they constantly provoke wars, keeping the Land of Rain in perpetual chaos, and he, the demigod of the ninja world, Hanzo of the Salamander, is no exception. Selfishness, ignorance, greed. Because of me, the Land of Rain is now. Hanzo of the Salamander gave a bitter smile and said, if things continue like this, it will be destroyed. The true annihilation of the country. He had already foreseen that a war between the ninja villages and the Red Alliance was inevitable, a war that would determine the future of the ninja world. Therefore, every ninja village had begun to choose sides. The Land of Rain, already sparsely populated due to its long-term warfare, and with countless ninjas killed in the war, joining the ninja villages, would only make them cannon fodder. Joining the Red Alliance. Save the Land of Rain. Hanzo of the Salamander pleaded, tears welling in his eyes, please help the Land of Rain. Don't let the Land of Rain be destroyed. Only then would there be a chance to survive. Chapter 2, the rest is missing. Chapter 395 The Land of Rain. So, a resistance organization has emerged in the Land of Rain? Uzumaki-jun frowned and asked, who is the leader? Yohiko, Nagato, and Konan are all in the Land of Whirlpools. Who on earth has the audacity to start a revolution in the Land of Rain? And, the name Akatsuki has already been registered. Idleton Kyosuke, a promising young man. Hanzo of the Salamander's lips curled into a smile of satisfaction and mockery. I never expected the Land of Rain to produce such a heroic figure. But then he sighed helplessly. But he can't succeed. If he could succeed, he could save himself some trouble. Back then, because he was old and worried that someone would take his position, he did a lot of foolish things, but now, he's about to die. The only thing he can't let go of is a mega cure in the Land of Rain. Surviving between the three great nations, how can he deter them without powerful strength? He originally had a chance, but he chose to give it up. Hanzo of the Salamander gazed at the scenery of the Land of Rain with cloudy eyes and said indifferently, what a beautiful country. He, a demigod of the ninja world, could have pacified the chaos in the Land of Rain, could have protected it, but because of his own selfishness and greed, he created the current situation. If possible, as the leader of a megacure, how could he possibly lower himself to beg another country? He might be considered a disgrace and nailed to the history of the Land of Rain. However, when he heard the name Idleton Kyosuke, Uzumaki-jun fell silent. Wasn't this the one who confessed to Konan in the anime, and was then rejected by Konan with the words, "The land of rain is not yet at peace, how can I have a home?" He was considered the first elder of the Akatsuki, with the special skill of lightning fast, stylish footwork, but, in the end, he died a terrible death, betrayed and killed by Obito and Zetsu. Unexpectedly, after Yohiko left, it was actually him who took up the mantle of revolution in the land of rain. Thinking of this, Uzumaki-jun narrowed his eyes. Being able to spit out cement within the water prison technique. Though not much, it's better than nothing. How do you want the land of whirlpools to help? How can we help? Hanzo of the Salamander looked at the ruins and devastation of the land of rain before him, shook his head with a bitter smile, and said, "After a long war, the population of the land of rain is dwindling, and now, the land of rain has no hope. Unless there is a powerful figure within its borders who can intimidate the 5 great shinobi villages, the other villages will not dare to act rashly." Hanzo of the Salamander closed his eyes. A tear rolled down his cheek. A vassal state. The land of rain will become a vassal state of the land of whirlpools, with political, military, and civil power handed over to the land of whirlpools. 20 years. As long as the land of whirlpools can protect the land of rain for 20 years, after 20 years, sovereignty will be returned to the land of rain. This was the only solution he could think of now. This. Uzumaki-jun paused for a moment after hearing Hanzo's words, then said, "It's not necessary to go that far. Give him 10 years, and he's confident he can turn the land of rain into the land of whirlpools. Besides, who knows what the land of rain will become in 20 years. Sandwiched between 3 great nations, its inland transportation is already poor. In peacetime, it's alright. But once chaos erupts, it will be at the mercy of the 3 great nations. There's a young man in the land of whirlpools named Yohiko, handsome, intelligent, and strong." Uzumaki-jun smiled slightly, looking at Hanzo, who seemed oblivious to his words, with a meaningful gaze. "Most importantly, I brought him from the land of rain back then." "You?" Hanzo's eyes widened, his heart trembling, and he said, "You mean revolution?" Uzumaki-jun smiled, looking at the land of rain in the misty rain, and said, "He's a professional. If Yohiko hadn't been tricked and killed back then, he might actually have been able to quell the internal strife. But, even though Yohiko died, Nagato inherited his will and directly used force to overthrow the land of rain, turning it into a terrorist stronghold. In a way, it could be considered a form of peace. Even Konan earned the title of angel. However, Hanzo of the Salamander, upon hearing Enwen's words, immediately glared and snorted. No wonder during the siege of Konoha, his subordinates kept sending back messages saying there were human traffickers in the land of rain. "So it was you guys?" "Yes." Uzumaki-jun nodded with a smile, squinting as he said, "If we had really left a genius in the land of rain back then, what do you think would have happened? He would definitely have died a horrible death, a truly miserable fate." "Eh?" Hanzo of the Salamander opened his mouth, sighed, and said, "Please." His gaze was deep as he watched the sun set over the land of rain, a bitter smile on his face. "Perhaps this is the last thing I can do." As for Jun Uzumaki, he gave Hanzo of the Salamander a meaningful look. He knew Hanzo of the Salamander had compromised. He acknowledged a ninja nurtured in the land of whirlpools, and would use the last moments of his life to bring a glimmer of hope for peace to the land of rain. This was the spirit of the former leader of a megacure, the spirit of a hero who could break the impure world reincarnation with his own strength. Uzumaki-jun didn't say anything, simply nodded, and then instantly vanished. He needed to check on the organization founded by Idaten Kyosuke. "Chief Kyosuke, if there's nothing else, we'll head down now," said a ninja wearing a black cloth hat and a black overcoat. "Quite a few more people are joining the organization today, I need to make arrangements later." "Yes, thank you." Idaten Kyosuke, with his black hair, nodded, looking at the drizzling rain before him, and said with a smile, "Believe me, the land of rain will surely be blessed with peace." "Of course," said the ninja in the black overcoat, his face filled with longing. "We all believe so. Otherwise, why would they join this organization? Wasn't it to grasp that sliver of peace? Even if it was only a sliver, they would hold on to it tightly." Watching his departing comrades, a hint of worry flashed in his eyes. Finally, he sighed helplessly and murmured, "What should I do next?" He gently patted a book on his chest. He took it out and quietly gazed at its crimson cover. Whenever he lacked confidence or felt lost, he would turn to this book, and each time he felt he had gained a great deal. But this time, he figured the book couldn't help him anymore. The Land of Whirlpools. Kato Kyosu carefully opened the somewhat worn copy of the guiding ideology of Reidism, sighed inwardly, and said, "What a fortunate country." He knew his leadership and guidance abilities were insufficient. He already felt overwhelmed with just 100 or so people. Let alone planning for the future, quelling the internal strife in the Land of Rain, and bringing a happy life to the Land of Rain. But, now everyone believes in him, believes he can lead the Land of Rain to a peaceful and stable life. Idleton Kyosu quietly looked at the book in his hands, muttering, "What should I do now?" Adjacent to the 3 great ninja villages, quelling the internal strife in the Land of Rain in the face of the current situation, is not so easy. Especially the Crimson Alliance. He can't contact them at all. I really want to meet the daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools, the founder of Crimsonism. Perhaps, he has a way? Just as he finished speaking. Are you looking for me? Chapter 1. Chapter 396 Fate. Why did they send me here? Fugaku Uchiha frowned, asking, "You know there are a lot of things waiting for me at the bureau. Why send him to the Land of Koma for no reason? Did they know he wasn't part of the military?" Even though there was a connection, leading troops in battle was really none of his business. Looking at the orange-haired youth with a gentle smile before him. "A mere small ninja village, with you here, why even bother sending me?" Yohiko smiled strangely, narrowing his eyes as he glanced at the black-haired female ninja from Hoshigakure beside him, and said calmly, "That's how they've arranged it, so we have no choice but to comply. They're planning to assign you a wife and, incidentally, dismantle Hoshigakure from within." Of course, he couldn't say these things aloud. After all, a man like the Uchiha clan head, with his stoic expression and pride, would definitely refuse if he knew he was being asked to do this. "And I just received orders from above to go to the Land of Rain on a secret mission, so the command will be temporarily handed over to you. Director Fugaku. Anyway, there's nothing major going on in Hoshigaku this time, just a few weaklings. I believe Uchiha Fugaku can handle it all by himself, not to mention, there are so many Uzushiagaku soldiers with him. It's a sure thing. Remember, that meteorite is very important, the research institute is waiting." He glanced again at the Hoshigaku ninja who kept looking this way. After Director Fugaku saved her back then, this beautiful woman became attached to the Uchiha clan head. There's definitely a reason for that. Although the Uchiha clan head is almost middle-aged, he's still rich, handsome, strong, and holds a high position. No wonder she's fallen for Director Fugaku. Just look at the Senju clan head. He's so old, still doing manual labor, single, and quietly contributing to the clan. Fate is always unpredictable. Yohiko sighed, shook his head, and gazed at the sky, muttering, "I wonder what kind of mission it is?" Although he had left the Land of Rain for several years, the sorrowful Land of Rain remained vivid in his mind, like the misty drizzle. Sorrow. It had never ceased. He had originally thought that the Land of Rain, with its demigod, would bring peace, but the situation had only worsened. "What are you thinking about?" Yohiko patted his face, a slight smile playing on his lips, and said, "I am now a citizen of the Land of Whirlpools. If he had the ability, he could help the Land of Rain. But now..." He shook his head with a smile. "Let's go carry out the mission first." Konoha 47, the 19th year of the Crimson Era, late autumn. The internal conflicts in the Land of Rain escalated once again. The common people could no longer endure this oppressive life. After decades of confusion and cowardice, they erupted under a sudden fire. Under the leadership of Yohiko, the second leader of the Revolutionary Army, war was officially declared against Omegakure. Faced with the internal strife in the Land of Rain, everyone watched with indifference, because they were already used to it. Was internal strife in the Land of Rain unusual? Not at all. It had been going on for decades, only this time it had escalated a bit, but it was still internal strife. So, they remained calm and observed, even with a hint of schadenfreude. The demigod of the ninja world was now old, and no strong person could escape the ravages of time. The god of the ninja world, the god of the ninja world's best friend, the god of the ninja world's wife, no matter how strong they were in the past, their final fate was still old age. Immortality was far too distant for them. Fortunately, everyone was the same. So, they were all waiting, wanting to see the final fate of the former demigod of the ninja world. But no one knew, this war, from the very beginning, foreshadowed the inevitable defeat of Omegakure, the Land of Whirlpools. Early winter is approaching, and the people of the country are beginning to prepare for it. It's unclear when it started, but they've gotten used to winters no longer being dead. Everyone wears a happy smile, bundled up in thick winter clothes. If they have a job, they go to work diligently. If not, they raise chickens and sheep at home in advance, planning a big feast for the whole family at New Year's. So, many people are already preparing for the new year. Grilled fish restaurants and hot pot restaurants are booming once again. Unlike the ninja world of the past, where even cooking rice required counting every grain, the people have become wealthier, and their quality of life has improved accordingly. You're pregnant again. Kushina touched Mikado's slightly protruding belly, a fleeting look of envy in her eyes, but a smile played on her lips. Did you go to the hospital for a checkup? Yes. Although the look vanished quickly, Mikado still caught Kushina's gaze. She sighed and smiled. Korinichan checked me out. It's nothing serious. Where's Sunli? Kushina glanced around. I haven't seen him much lately. I don't know. Mikado stroked her belly, a hint of maternal love in her eyes, and shook her head. I heard he's looking for some kind of dragon vein, to see if he can research some new renewable energy source. Then, an embarrassed smile appeared on her face. You know, I don't understand this stuff. It's okay. Kushina blinked, playfully sticking out her tongue. I don't understand either, and... She leaned close to Mikado's ear. Don't let Sunini's supposed expertise fool you, he doesn't actually know either. The words had barely left her lips. Kushina mama, please have some tea. A little boy with red hair came out carrying 2 cups of tea, a smile on his face, and said, and there's one for mom too. Itachi. Seeing Itachi come over, Kushina's eyes flashed. She pulled Itachi over, rubbed his cheek, and said, still so warm, so comforting. Mikado watched Kushina playing with her son and smiled helplessly. She understood what Kushina had just said. Sun didn't know what was going on. He was clearly so strong, but his theoretical foundation was so weak, like someone who had never been to school. She smiled helplessly, touching the slightly protruding baby bump, a happy smile on her face, and murmured, I really wanted water. Just then, Kushina, who had been rubbing Itachi, suddenly felt nauseous for some reason, quickly covered her mouth, stood up, and went to the washroom. She couldn't control herself and vomited. Mikado was stunned for a moment, then asked worriedly, what's wrong? Should we call Xiangzi to come and check on you? Nothing. Kushina waved her hand and said, I just suddenly feel nauseous. As soon as she finished speaking. Watching this scene, Mikado seemed to find it somewhat familiar. She pulled Itachi closer, a bitter smile appearing on her lips, and sighed. Quietly watching Kushina. She still felt a little uncomfortable. Hey. Uzumaki-jun rubbed his nose, looking at the desolate desert before him, and murmured, this should be it. He could feel the immense energy underground. The Dragon Vein. Chapter 2, the rest is missing. Chapter 397, the 368th type of tree. The Dragon Vein, perhaps it could be described as a special kind of chakra energy aggregate. Like a tail beast, it doesn't rely on anything else, it's simply chakra gathered together. As for how it's generated, Uzumaki-san doesn't know, but since it can naturally generate a chakra aggregate, it means that extracting chakra from the environment is possible, perhaps just a bit difficult. After all, so many years have passed, yet there's still only one dragon vein. Uzumaki-san quietly sensed this vast amount of chakra. Mastering the dragon vein would be like sealing a tail beast, possessing, in a sense, infinite chakra. However, Uzumaki-san didn't know if this infinite chakra was simply inexhaustible or if it would regenerate. If it was the latter, an infinite clean energy source was hopeful, but the former, even if it's vast, it will eventually be depleted after prolonged use. Uzumaki-san smiled and shook his head. This vast amount of chakra, in a way, was still a bit of a burden for him. Stroking his chin and sensing the immense chakra within the dragon vein, he murmured, perhaps he should take it back for Haruko and the others to study? Maybe they could make a breakthrough in the long-standing problem of chakra extraction from the environment? Uzumaki-san slowly approached the depths of the dragon vein. After all, this was a dragon vein capable of triggering time travel. What if he took it back unintentionally, causing Chira's family to be torn apart? As for Haruko and Orochimaru, just 2 single guys. Uzumaki-san didn't care. If they disappeared, Tsunade and Jiraiya would probably just angrily scold them for not being able to freeload, and then they'd probably be forgotten. Truly, pitiful. Uzumaki soon frowned, looking at a symbol that suddenly appeared in the distance. A jutsu seal? But it didn't look like it. It seemed somewhat like the special symbol that Zimu had teleported over a while ago. Uzumaki soon carefully examined the symbol before him. To be honest, his strength was off thanks to cheat codes, so he really didn't understand much about researching this kind of thing. Could this be the reason for the formation of dragon veins? Uzumaki soon suddenly thought of something, and immediately narrowed his eyes, staring blankly at the peculiar symbol in front of him. If we can decipher it, infinite clean energy might really be able to be generated. A surge of excitement welled up within him. He reached out, intending to pry off the stone inscribed with runes. Rumble. Suddenly, a violent tremor shook the ground. Just as Uzumaki soon sensed something was about to happen and was about to activate the Flying Thunder God technique. Roar. A tremendous roar followed, and then, in less than a moment, calm returned, as if nothing had happened, except Uzumaki soon, who had been standing in the dragon vein, was gone. What did you say? Black Zetsu frowned, looking at White Zetsu's true form before him, and asked, that red-haired brat disappeared? Yes. White Zetsu's true form nodded, saying, according to the information relayed by the clone, that red-haired brat went to the ruins of the ancient Laolin kingdom, and then, for some reason, after a huge tremor, he disappeared. You mean? Black Zetsu narrowed his eyes, saying, space-time ninjutsu? He might have been transported to another dimension? As the mastermind behind the ninja world for millennia, though he's recently been relegated to a lowly errand boy, he's still aware of the sealed dragon vein hidden beneath the ruins of the ancient Laolin kingdom. He can also sense the immense spatial temporal chakra within it. So, for all these years, Black Zetsu hasn't touched it. After all, who knows where it might end up? He hasn't seen his mother yet. How could he just wander around recklessly? What if he never sees her again? Therefore, while chakra is indeed tempting, for Black Zetsu, the third son of the chakra mother, the mastermind behind the ninja world, and known as a weakling, it's best not to touch the thing lightly. A direct confrontation is simply not suitable for a wise man like him. Black Zetsu felt a surge of excitement. Could the greatest scourge of the ninja world just disappear like this? Why has he hesitated to act? Isn't it because he's afraid of being beaten to death by that red-haired brat and never seeing his mother again? His greatest dream is simply to see his mother again, and then, to call her mom with his own voice. Why is it so difficult? Thinking of this, Black Zetsu felt an urge to burst into tears. He had endured 1,000 years of hardship, finally cultivating the Rinnegan, just one step away from rescuing his mother. But because of his youthful ignorance, he had recruited that red-haired child into the organization back then, and as a result, Madara betrayed them, Toby betrayed them, and he became a rat in the ninja world, hated by everyone. It was truly a story of bitter tears. If he had to say what he regretted most in the past 1,000 years, it was probably not killing that brat when he was still young. Otherwise, he would have seen his mother long ago. Are you sure he's no longer in the ninja world? Black Zetsu looked at White Zetsu's true form with a serious expression, saying, you can't just say that carelessly, otherwise, it will harm the organization. He knew that if that brat was still in the ninja world, he, Black Zetsu, would rather endure until that red-haired brat died, and then go to rescue his mother. He knew, when it came to longevity, he, the third son of the chakra mother, was absolutely confident. Not certain yet. White Zetsu shook his head and said, according to the reports, he did indeed disappear from the dragon vein. But, you know, that kid only knows space-time ninjutsu. In that case, Black Zetsu's heart skipped a beat, a mixture of excitement and unease washing over him. Finally, he gritted his teeth and said, send out all White Zetsu to search the entire ninja world. No matter what, we can't hide any longer. After all, who knows how long it will be before he can obtain the Rinnegan again? This is something he, a child with a pure and filial heart, simply can't wait. And send White Zetsu to constantly monitor the dragon vein's reaction. If anything seems amiss, we must immediately send back a message. He paused for a moment, then sighed. If that red-haired brat finds out, then let's just plant a tree. He absolutely cannot let anyone discover his hiding place now. Especially that daimyo of the land of whirlpools. Understood. White Zetsu nodded, his face serious. I'll arrange it. Just as he was about to turn around and go to summon White Zetsu. Come back. Black Zetsu seemed to have thought of something, gritting his teeth and angrily saying, "There's one more thing." White Zetsu turned around, puzzled, looking at Black Zetsu. "Find out where Toby is hiding. That traitor and idiot. I'm going to plant a tree on his spot. And while I'm at it, I'll ask who took Madara Uchiha's last Rinnegan." Chapter 1. Chapter 398 Count. A cave. Heave-ho, heave-ho. A young man with a white, spiral-shaped face, completely white with no eyeballs, lay on the damp mudstone slab, rubbing his nose, then tossing and turning as if very uncomfortable. Finally. So hard. The young man sat up impatiently, propping his chin up with his hands, his empty single eye seemingly staring silently ahead, muttering, "How did Lord Madara manage to sleep like that back then? And he slept so comfortably. He would only wake up once every few months, even years, truly. Lord Madara was a truly hard-working person." Afehi sighed, muttering, "It's just that he had a bad temper and no sense of humor." Then, he stretched, stood up, and walked to a nearby rock wall. 1, 2, 3. Afehi counted the horizontal bars, then scratched his head after a while, saying in confusion, "Has it been that long? Boss Madara?" Looking at the hundreds of horizontal bars in front of him, Afehi suddenly fell silent. Had he been dead for over 300 years? Then, he slapped his bald white head hard. "I miscounted again." Toby walked to the side, looking at the horizontal bar on the other wall, and said, "This is the one from before. What was that? How could he forget?" He sighed helplessly to himself. Sure enough, without Madara-sama's fireball jutsu, he'd become a lot dumber. Toby scratched his head in distress, reaching out to count the horizontal bars, but unconsciously lowered his hand. Silently staring at the horizontal bars. Why is Toby counting these? Toby quietly looked at the horizontal bars he had drawn over the years, murmuring, "Madara-sama is already dead. Madara-sama. Toby listened to you, found a place to hide, and didn't return to the land of whirlpools." Although he missed the sweet tofu pudding from the land of whirlpools, Toby resisted. But Toby didn't know where to hide, so he could only return to this cave. Lord Madara shouldn't be angry, right? Toby's empty one eye stared silently at the wall. So boring. I'll just draw some more poop and then go back to sleep. He didn't know when it started, but he really liked sleeping, just like Lord Madara back then. Then, he walked to the wall with the hundreds of horizontal bars he had just drawn and casually drew another one. Konoha year 47, the end of the Crimson year 19. Today is the last day of year 47. While the people of the land of whirlpools were still immersed in the New Year's celebrations as usual, the higher-ups of the land of whirlpools were in a state of anxiety. It's been 5 days already, and Jun hasn't returned yet? The clan chief frowned, looking at the surrounding higher-ups of the land of whirlpools, and said, "Have you inquired with Yohiko yet?" "I've inquired." Nagato nodded seriously and said, "Yohiko said that Tsunemi went to search for the dragon vein, and after that." He helplessly spread his hands. "I don't know." "What about Hibiki?" The clan head paused for a moment and asked, "Have you asked everyone?" "I've asked them too." Uzumaki re-nodded and said helplessly, "They don't know where Tsunemi went. He's already a father, yet he's still so irresponsible, disappearing without a trace. You know, you're almost a father of 3. Did Tsunemi leave any message?" The clan head frowned and said worriedly, "Although Tsunemi often appears and disappears mysteriously, he's never disappeared without a trace like this. Could something have happened? But with Tsunemi's true strength, who in the ninja world could stop him? No." Ri shook her head and said, "Mikado also said that Tsunemi just went to search for the dragon vein. As for anything else, that's it." He sighed inwardly. It was New Year's Eve, and given Tsun's personality, he should have been back by now. What could have happened to keep him from coming back? As a father, Uzumaki Rin was truly worried. Impossible. Kakuzu shook his head and said, "Judging by that kid's strength, he's even stronger than the god of shinobi. There's probably no one in the shinobi world who can rival him, let alone stop him. So, that brat wouldn't be plotting something sinister in the shadows again, would he?" As a former comrade who had sold arms together, he knew Uzumaki Tsun's strength and his blackened heart even better. There was definitely a conspiracy involved. But this time, he hadn't even consulted with the god of shinobi, Wu Kai. Kakuzu fell silent. This was really abnormal. As for whether that kid would get into trouble, Kakuzu wasn't worried at all. "What exactly is this dragon vein?" The clan leader, after a moment of silence upon hearing the higher-up's words, said with a serious expression, "Have you arranged for someone to investigate?" "Yes, I have." Miyagi Shiraman adjusted his sunglasses and said, "We've also contacted Yohiko over there to see if he can find any clues." No information came back, and the phone call went unanswered. Just who could so silently and lifelessly take away the monstrous Prince Shun? That kid, cough cough. The elder, his hair graying and showing signs of age, coughed twice and said softly, "He's already a father, and he's still so troublesome." Then, his expression changed, and he looked around seriously. "Although I don't know what's holding Zio-sun back, since that kid has entrusted the land of whirlpools to us, we must protect it." The elder's sharp eyes swept over the high-ranking officials of the land of whirlpools before him. "I don't want to see any chaos during this period." He didn't want the current favorable situation of the land of whirlpools to be ruined. If anyone dared to cause trouble during this time, they wouldn't blame him for being ruthless. Understood. Everyone's eyes narrowed, and they nodded, saying, "We will definitely not allow any chaos to occur." Everyone knew, peace was hard-won, especially for the land of whirlpools now. From a small country to the leading red nation it is today, only they knew how much they had sacrificed. Therefore, anyone who dared to bring harm to the land of whirlpools would be personally killed. Block the news of Zio-sun's disappearance. The clan chief thought for a moment and said, "The ninja world absolutely cannot find out. At the same time, search for any news about Zio-sun with all your might. No matter what it is, treat it as an emergency. Now is not the time to be soft-hearted. And starting today, the land of whirlpools will fully prepare for war. After all, how long can this news be kept secret? No one knows." "Yes." Everyone accepted the order with serious expressions. They all knew that once the 5 great ninja villages found out that Prince Shun had disappeared, then, war would definitely break out again, and, even more serious than before. After receiving the order, everyone didn't linger for a moment and quickly went to carry it out. "Wait a minute, Lee." Suddenly, the clan chief stopped Uzumaki Lee, his face full of worry, and said, "What about the children?" "Don't worry. I will keep it a secret." Before the clan chief could finish speaking, Uzumaki Lee said with a serious expression, "At the same time, we will increase their protection. After all, she is pregnant, and if she is stimulated, it's really a headache." Thinking of this, Uzumaki Raya walked out angrily. "If that brat comes back now, I'll definitely give him a good beating." Chapter 2, that's all. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 399, An Unfamiliar World. Where am I? Uzumaki soon frowned, looking at his surroundings. An undeveloped forest, surrounded by wild grass and rocks. He muttered, "Who carved that talisman on it?" Just as he was about to activate Flying Thunder God technique or Kamui, a force suddenly restrained him. That force. It was somewhat familiar, yet strange, and stronger than him. It rendered Uzumaki-sun completely immobile. In the ninja world, counting down from Kaguya, there shouldn't be anyone who could rival him. Moreover, Uzumaki-sun glanced at his body with a strange expression. Sealed? Sealing techniques were a specialty of the Uzumaki clan. Who could have immobilized him with just a strange talisman, sealing his chakra as well? And then thrown him here? Where is this? Looking at this unfamiliar place, Uzumaki soon fell silent. Was there some unexplored dungeon in the ninja world he hadn't yet conquered? This is impossible. Kakuzu has practically expanded his arms business all over the world. How could there be places I haven't been? If there are, they must be poor places that can't afford arms. System. Uzumaki soon pondered for a moment, then said, "Where is this?" Although based on the characteristics of the dragon vein, Uzumaki soon could roughly guess his current situation, but he didn't understand internal affairs, so he asked the system. He didn't understand external affairs either, so he asked the system. The ninja world. The system's black, electronic voice sounded again, "You've crossed space-time." Sure enough, he had already crossed over. Uzumaki soon raised an eyebrow. So, was this the past ninja world, or the future ninja world? "Do you know who tricked me?" "I have a rough idea," the system said. However, before Uzumaki soon could ask, According to the Space-Time Covenant and the Cosmic Covenant, the host's laws stipulate. No comment. Hearing the system's words, Uzumaki-san was speechless. It seems the person who sealed him has some skill. Even the system could warn him, but who could it be? The Grim Reaper of Elysium, worshipped by the Uzumaki clan for generations, or the evil god in Haiden's mind, or even the Buddha of the Fire Temple, presided over by Jiraiya? It's estimated that only these mysterious deities from Naruto could possibly harm him. As for the others, they're all weaklings. So, how about breaking the seal? This system only adds points and allows exchanges, the system's electronic voice said. When have you ever seen the system help its host solve problems? What a piece of trash. Uzumaki-san immediately shut down the system. It seemed impossible to take him back. Then, he scanned his surroundings again and muttered, it seems the only way back is to find the dragon vein. But, why can't I sense the dragon vein here? Is this not the ancient kingdom of Laolin anymore? It seems that he can't return to where he came from. Uzumaki-san sighed helplessly. Let's find a place with people first. He also wanted to find out if this was before or after the first year of Konoha. Just then. A clear voice rang out. Who? Uzumaki-san's eyes sharpened. He turned to look at the woods and shouted, come out. Hug, sorry. A girl in a gray linen dress walked out shyly and said carefully, I'm sorry to bother you. She was probably around 17 or 18 years old. Although her hair was simply tied back and she wore plain linen clothes, it couldn't hide her naturally pure beauty. Very refreshing. Uzumaki-san nodded and said, it's alright. She doesn't seem to be a ninja. Especially the bamboo basket she's carrying and her gray linen dress. This girl's living conditions probably aren't very good. Hello. The shy girl glanced at Uzumaki-san, noticing his brightly colored clothes and the bright red cloak he wore, matching his hair, clearly made of fine material. She said softly, I just happened to see someone here and came to check. She'd gone up the mountain to gather herbs today and noticed a figure in the usually deserted back hill. She'd assumed it was someone from the village gathering herbs and was about to greet them, but instead, it was someone she'd never seen before. And, he was so handsome. And those clothes, he must be a nobleman from a great country. It's alright. Seeing the girl's nervousness, Uzumaki-san gave what he thought was a gentle smile and said, hello. His eyes narrowed slightly. He needed someone to ask for directions, and here he was. Sure enough, those with systems are always the protagonists. They encounter helpful people wherever they go. My name is Uzumaki-san, and what's yours? He should try to build a good relationship first. Chimuko. The girl paused, a nervous jolt running through her, before shyly replying, my name is Chimuko. Had she been so impolite? Would this nobleman kill her? Wait a minute. Chimuko suddenly remembered something terrifying. She hadn't even knelt before the nobleman yet. This was it. Grandma Shia, Great-Grandpa Zio. Muko would never see you again. What's wrong? Uzumaki-san, noticing the sudden fear on Chimuko's face, walked over curiously, waved in front of her, and said, look scared? Was she really that frightening? Impossible. In the ninja world, there couldn't be anyone more handsome than him. Just like his confidence and his strength, Uzumaki-san was also extremely confident in his appearance. No. Jin Muzi was so frightened by the sudden appearance of Uzumaki-san that she collapsed to the ground, trembling with fear. Don't kill me. Uzumaki-san's forehead creased with annoyance as he stared at Jin Muzi speechlessly. Did he really look like a murderer? In the ninja world, he was the kindest, most innocent, gentle, and approachable person. This confidence was just like his appearance. He was very confident. Moreover, everyone in the ninja world thought so. Did they see the people of the land of whirlpools shouting? Is Prince Sun truly merciful? Why would I kill you? Because I didn't pay my respects to you just now. Jin Muzi lowered her head fearfully and whispered, not paying respects to a noble is a capital offense. She had seen it in a big city. An old man had his head chopped off on the spot for not paying respects to a noble. For a month, she kept having nightmares about being beheaded by a noble. Wasn't that a nightmare? Or was it a warning from the gods, seeing her kindness, telling her to be careful? And because she was unaware, she had offended a nobleman today. Jin Muzi looked at Uzumaki-san with fear again. Was she going to die? Uzumaki-san looked at Jin Muzi helplessly, sighed, and said, I won't cut off your head. Are the nobles in this world so terrifying? Cutting off heads so easily? Get up. He stretched out his hand to Jin Muzi, once again revealing what he thought was an infectious smile. I am not a nobleman. If you think about it, he should be a daimyo. Higher than a nobleman. And, as the successor of Buddhism, Uzumaki soon absolutely would not allow any feudal system, slavery, or monarchical system to revive. The world belongs to all the people. Only Buddhism can save the world. Chapter 1. Chapter 400 The Prodigal Son. In the early 20th year of the Red Alliance's reign, Konoha 48, winter was not yet over, and the streets were still covered with thick snow. Only the land of whirlpools, having prematurely liberated its productive forces, had no one starving or freezing to death in this frigid weather. Although the higher-ups were filled with anxiety, news of Prince Sun's disappearance had not yet reached them, and the people continued with their lives as usual. Only a few who knew the inside story felt uneasy. They knew, as long as Prince Sun was keeping order within the country, the other ninja villages dared not act rashly, especially during this crucial period of Red Alliance transformation. Once war broke out, the land of whirlpools would face not just the 5 great ninja villages, but half the ninja world. Even if the Red Alliance also learned of Prince Sun's disappearance, and were further instigated by the 5 great ninja villages, there would likely be many defections. Therefore, the land of whirlpools dared not send too many people out to investigate, because if they were discovered, war would break out. Currently, there were many things the country was not yet prepared for. The land of whirlpools could not easily start a war. Black Zetsu? Fugaku Uchiha looked at the black figure that had suddenly appeared before him and said indifferently, "What are you doing here?" Tisk tisk. Black Zetsu smiled and said, "Don't be nervous. You should know I mean no harm." As expected of the Uchiha clan. They all have that sour face. What have you decided? Hearing Black Zetsu's words, Fugaku Uchiha narrowed his eyes and muttered, "Do you know where Lord Sun went? Otherwise, how dare this scoundrel appear in the land of whirlpools at this time?" Then there is only one reason. Fugaku Uchiha's black pupils began to move, revealing a pair of eyes that Black Zetsu recognized. Manjakayao Sharingan. Don't be impulsive, don't be impulsive. Black Zetsu said quickly when he saw this, "Have you forgotten your father's revenge?" Father. Fugaku Uchiha was stunned, closed his eyes, and his evil chakra fluctuated continuously. He said indifferently, "What does this have to do with you?" It seems Lord Sun's disappearance is not as simple as he thought. Otherwise, why would Black Zetsu dare to try and win him over after seeing him enraged? Could it be that Prince Chun isn't coming back? It seems you still care. Seeing Fugaku Uchiha's surging, evil chakra, Black Zetsu nodded in satisfaction and said, "You know, that red-haired brat is your father killer and clan murderer." His face held a sorrowful expression. If it weren't for that red-haired brat, the Uchiha clan wouldn't be in this state, with only a handful of members left. A slight smile played on his lips. He refused to believe that the Uchiha clan, with their stubborn minds, could so easily let go of their hatred. Think about it, your tragically deceased father, your pitiful clansmen. They were all killed by the Uzumaki-jun. Revenge. Blinded by hatred. This is what the Uchiha clan should be like. Have you all forgotten? Seeing Uzumaki-jun's strength, you act like cowards, afraid to take revenge? The words had barely left his lips. Damn it. Uchiha Fugaku suddenly opened his eyes, his crimson Manjakayao Sharingan spinning rapidly, surging with malevolent chakra filled with hatred. He gritted his teeth and said, "The Uchiha are not cowards." He actually dared to provoke the Uchiha clan. It seems this Black Zetsu has grand ambitions. The Uchiha clan will definitely take revenge. However, looking at Uchiha Fugaku's hateful expression and those eyes, Black Zetsu was agitated. That's it. The Uchiha clan are all fools, fools prone to extremes. And this is the expression the Uchiha clan should have. Come with me. Black Zetsu tempted. I'll give you immense power so you can take your own revenge. And Black Zetsu narrowed his eyes. Let's bring peace back to this dark world. Buddhism can't bring peace to the ninja world. Only the message he inscribed on the stone tablet in the Uchiha clan's territory is the only way to save the ninja world. Reclaim chakra, turn everyone into white Zetsu, then wouldn't the ninja world be at peace? So, Black Zetsu, the third son of the mother of chakra, the brother of the sage of 6 paths, the mastermind behind the millennium of ninja trouble, wasn't lying. Thinking of this, Black Zetsu was moved by his own thoughts. How noble. He rescued his mother and saved the ninja world. Indeed, Black Zetsu, is the hope of the ninja world. Come with me. Hearing Black Zetsu's words, Uchiha Fugaku fell silent, staring intently at the black figure before him, slowly closing his eyes, seemingly calming the hatred within. Sensing the subsiding evil chakra, just as Black Zetsu thought he was about to refuse and prepared to run away, Uchiha Fugaku suddenly opened his eyes, his black pupils calmly looking at Black Zetsu. Alright. So, you're not a nobleman? Chimiko, carrying her bamboo basket, looked at Uzumaki-san with her bright, sparkling eyes, saying, but your clothes are very beautiful. Just some family wealth, Uzumaki-san said modestly, I can afford a few clothes. Seeing that he had persuaded this silly girl, he sighed helplessly. What an innocent girl. By the way, Uzumaki-san seemed to remember something, pondered for a moment, and said, where is this? He hadn't forgotten to find his way home. Otherwise, Mikado and the others would worry after being away for so long. Here. Chimiko blinked and said, this is Orchid Village, don't you know it? Orchid Village. Uzumaki-jun was stunned when he heard Chimiko's words and said, where is that? How come he had never heard of it? Could it really be a remote country that couldn't afford weapons? Orchid Village is Orchid Village. Chimiko frowned her cute brows, seemingly unsure how to explain, and said, where else could it be? She looked at Uzumaki-jun strangely, seemingly puzzled by Uzumaki-jun's question. I meant, which country is this? Seeing Jin Muzi's strange look, Uzumaki-san helplessly spread his hands and said, I'm lost. Oh, I see. Jin Muzi nodded in sudden understanding, thought for a moment, and said, this is Land Village. Because it's a poorer place, no country has accepted Land Village. She lowered her head with a hint of regret. Actually, Land Village is quite nice. Although the land isn't fertile, there are few rivers, and no minerals, the villagers are very kind. Why hasn't any country accepted it? So it's a no man's land. Uzumaki-san nodded knowingly, pondered for a moment, and said, isn't that great? How free? That's not good at all. Hearing Sun's words, Jin Muzi pouted angrily and said, without a country's acceptance, there's no country's protection, and many bad people will come to bully Land Village. Her eyes dimmed slightly. Grandpa Zio's son, Uncle Dao, was killed by bandits while protecting the village, and now. Her tone was indignant. Those bandits want us to pay them tribute, but the village is so poor. There's simply no extra food. Jin Muzi sadly lowered her head. So, how wonderful it would be if there were a country's protection. I see. Sun looked at the downcast and somewhat sad Jin Muzi, nodded, thought for a moment, and then took out a few candies from the system, saying, here, have some. Eating them will make you a little happier. Because after Ban took all her snacks on the last trip to the moon, she always carried a lot with her when she went out, but now Ban is gone. Jin Muzi took a few small, round beads and asked curiously, eatable? These pretty things are actually edible? She sniffed them. They smelled really good. But she didn't know what they were. Just tear off the outer paper and you can eat them, Uzumaki-san said with a smile, watching the girl's action. Just tear it open and put it in your mouth. Oh, okay. Jin Muzi snapped out of her daze, blushed slightly, and followed Uzumaki-san's instructions, tearing open the wrapper and putting it in her mouth. Instantly. So sweet. She let out a comfortable groan. A moment later, she suddenly opened her eyes, looked at Uzumaki-san, and exclaimed in surprise, this is candy? And it wasn't ordinary candy. She quickly grabbed Uzumaki-san's hand and returned the remaining candy. I don't want it, it's expensive. She had seen it in the big city. Sweet things like this were always very expensive. Especially the ones she had just eaten, so fragrant and sweet, they must be even more expensive. Just as she was about to spit out the candy in her mouth and put it back. Wait. Uzumaki-san quickly stopped her, saying, no need, I have plenty more here, consider it my treat. This orchid village is too poor. They even spit out a piece of candy to give away. Chapter 2, that's all. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all, see you in the next video.